Hello, this is the October video chat with fans. I have a few announcements, and then I'll start answering questions. First announcement, Freeman's Mind's coming as soon as possible. All the dialogue's done. I'm basically just waiting on sound effects. However, that's not the sound effect guy's fault because I should have gotten them the footage sooner. I have a bad habit of tending to focus on what are the hardest parts for me first, to the point where I can sometimes neglect the easy stuff I should do sooner. Like send this person the files. So that carries over with a lot of my videos. But yeah, it's good to go. It's gonna, I think, like around 13 minutes or something. I think people will be happy with this episode. But yeah, just need sound effects, volume balancing, and just titles, and it's done. So that'll be whenever. Oh yeah, the shirt. Yeah, Camp Crystal Lake Counselor. That'll be whenever he's done. I'm guessing honestly, it could be tomorrow, but it'll probably be a couple days, I guess, if I had to guess. Let's see. Oh yeah, I realized I have to rearrange my plans a little bit. The next game dungeon's not gonna be what I said it was. It's gonna be Halloween themed. What I plan is gonna have to happen after that. So I'm going full speed on Halloween. I would say what my plans are, but that is screwed up so spectacularly up to this point. Like I'm about a month and a half behind where I want to be. Like if this was like late August, I'd be pretty happy with where I am right now. So, however, I'll say this: Freeman's Mind coming quite soon. Then probably not much coming for like the first half of October, and then after that, expect videos. That's all I'll say. So, I have plans, and then I have like a plan B if something's going on too long. I don't think I'm going to top Phantasmagoria 2, but I'm pretty happy. The videos I have planned, I think they're going to have a good mood to them, like a good Halloween mood. So, and I'm happy with how one of them's going so far. So yeah, I don't think people will be too disappointed. Like, yeah, it won't be all-time best, but I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed if you like game dungeons. So if I get... Well, I'll see how much time I have. I have other more ambitious ideas, but I'll have to pace myself. So, okay. Yeah. Other announcements. YouTube has disabled, I think, user submitted subtitles. Yeah, a lot of people point out that they did this like during like National Deaf Awareness Week. So yeah, we're aware of you. We're gonna disable a lot of people to submit subtitles. However, I should point out it's a slow system, but I've had a system in place just like a decade or more. If you go to accursefarms.com to the forum section, I have a whole subtitle section. You can submit subtitles there, and it'll eventually make its way to the actual videos. My wife tends to handle uploading the subtitles because I'd rather just spend the time making more videos, but it needs to be someone who has access to my account. So if you submit the subtitles there, eventually they'll get submitted onto the videos. So I'll point that out. Yeah, somebody's saying, oh crap, that's still running? Yeah, it's still running. So and there's one set up for different languages too. Like if you want Spanish or Russian or something like that. So yeah, no guarantee how quickly, but that should go through unless there's two competing ones in which, but then if you are competing because somebody will have submitted it sooner, I guess. So, and in which case, I think we just have to pick one. Like this one probably is more accurate. I don't handle any of it now. I just sort of set up the system so it eventually makes its way to the videos. So yeah, you can circumvent YouTube from my channel at least. But let's see. What? Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be a busy month, but I think I can't put off streaming anymore. So I think I'm going to start doing each Saturday. I'll be just streaming something. I don't know if I'll be streaming on Halloween or not. I'm going to start with Dark Souls. People have been asking me to play that forever. You may find that amusing because I've never played Dark Souls and I've never watched a playthrough or anything. So I'll be going in blind. But, I did play some of Death Trap Dungeon, and I've seen a stream of Demon Souls. So I think I have a rough idea what to expect. I don't know where any traps or anything is. So, I've heard some stream watchers get frustrated if the person they're watching isn't very good. You probably don't want to watch that then, because going in blind. But if you're someone who wants to see, somebody's still falling for all these traps, then that's probably what you should show up for. Let's see. I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to finish it. It depends on how much I'm enjoying the pain, I guess. But I think it'll be better, with an audience for that sort of thing. And also, I guess the week before Halloween's, or maybe I'll change that. Yeah, the times could change on everything. So I'll update that in the description and on the website, Twitter. But I'm gonna do if you want to join in, I'm gonna do a stream of Secret Worlds Legends, probably a Saturday before Halloween. So that's free. You can join with me if you have never played it. You can still join in for a couple things, but it'll be better if you have a higher level character. Because I'm going to want to do the Manhattan raid. I think that's like a 40-man event or something like that. Because I think that's the only thing in Secret World Legends I haven't done. So, but maybe we can figure out some other stuff. Like maybe, I guess you can't block players. I was thinking of having like a blockade of one of the cities or something. But maybe we can explore Agartha. I remember there's some interesting kind of jumps that you can try to hit. They usually have like some sort of Halloween event we can try out, but that'll probably just be one day. But how long does it take to get a higher level there? Kind of like a typical MMO. So a while, I imagine. See, I only have a high level character because I did it over a series of months. So yeah, well, you can show up for it. We'll do something that like level 1 people can do also, but it'll help if there's a high level character to help me out. Let's see. Yeah, because I'm still after the mythical game where doesn't have a high barrier to entry. I guess is free or extremely low cost. And, can just handle however many people want to spill into there. So, all right. Okay. So let's just start answering questions. Last time it went on too long for me. So the chat can just start spamming when there's when I'm at the, let's say the 15th question or something. And then after that, I'll just get more discriminatory with which ones I answer. Okay, so let me open up the questions and I'll get to that. Oops. And then at the end, I'll answer live questions. Okay, actually, let me move the chat so I can read it while it's happening. Okay, first one. What do you think of Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda? Well, my first thought is I'm glad I made my big Microsoft rant before that. So, in the follow-up video where, so it does look like I'm just trying to jump on the bandwagon. Like, no, I was thinking about it. If you look at the developer's history with how they approach things, some are just obviously terrible. Others are kind of good. With Microsoft, I realized if I'm being completely honest, it's kind of schizophrenic. They're just kind of all over the place. However, the overall trend, I think is looking very bad in the future, because I say that because they're ready to strike a streaming only future. I mean, whether that happens or not, I don't know. But look, they're ready for that. That's what they want. But the timing on this is so perfect. Again, this is like removing subtitles on National Deaf Awareness Week. Here's a fact that just sums up completely how I feel about Microsoft's involvement in gaming. I think it's literally a week ago, it might be less than a week, Forza Horizon 3 on PC got delisted. So, which that's actually kind of rare for PC games. That's usually more common for console games. Like usually if a game gets delisted on PC, it's because they're updating to a newer version and they would just kind of want to bury the old one, or occasionally there's music issues, but then usually they update that with different music, or like I think Alan Wake went down, but they were able to work it out and it came back. Usually on PC, they just straight up kill the game. As in, no, you can't. So that's weird for me. But so that means as of right now, if you don't own it already, there is no legal way to play Forza Horizon 3 on PC. So, and that's their game. They published that. I think they own the studio that made that. And that's a game with a long shelf life too, because like it's a giant open world racer. It takes place in Australia. So if you want to do open world racing in Australia, that's probably the #1 game you should check out. So I could see people wanting to play that like a decade after the fact or something. It's not like I guess kind of a fad multiplayer competitive game, and then people move on to the next thing. No, you're going to have some diehards who are going to want to keep playing that. So that's, I think that's just, that says it all. And that came out in 2016. So they managed to make it just almost exactly 4 years and it's just gone. So that shows how good of stewards that they are for that. I mean, somebody's saying Forza Horizon 4 is great. Well, let's see if that lasts longer than 4 years. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. So, and the thing is, if you already bought it, it still works. However, who knows how long they're going to let that offer that as an option. And it gets better because I got curious. From the comments I've seen, I haven't tried it myself. Let's say you're thinking, okay, well, I want to play the game. They won't sell it to me, so I'm going to go pirate it. Well, apparently the piracy protection must be halfway decent because it did get cracked, but that apparently only works on past versions of Windows 10. So, like, if you've updated Windows in like the past year or two, you cannot run it. Unless it's the legit copy, which they will not sell to you anymore. So, I mean, this is that's such a perfect microcosm of how I view Microsoft's approach to gaming. It's like, so their own game, that for all intents and purposes, that's probably a pretty good game and something. I mean, I'm interested in playing it, and it's gonna have some diehards that are interested in the game. They won't sell it to you. It's kind of a shelf life for even cracking it. There's no legal way to play it on the PC unless you already have it. So, it's so we have a canned food that has a longer shelf life than video games. It's all artificial. I mean, it's still, best I can tell, the cracked copy still works on the old versions of Windows. So if you were to install a version, I think it was like 1809 or something. I'm not sure if like version 1903 of Windows 10. I'm not sure if that one works anymore. I have to look it up. Well, maybe that'll incentivize pirate crack groups to take another pass at it to get it working. But then, if it works today, then maybe Microsoft releases something in the code that breaks it in the maybe 1904. I get the version numbers mixed up. breaks in the future. So, I mean, I guess you could run it on an emulator on a virtual machine, or I guess like a legacy machine disconnected from the internet or something. But yeah, but then, even then you have to go through piracy. And anytime you have to go through piracy, you know, there is risk of viruses. I mean, you know, with cracks you can scan them. I mean, or just shady sites that, yeah, like let's say even the RIP is fine, you know, but the source you had to go through to get that, you know, I guess it depends on which sources, you know. Look, I have seen plenty of times for looking for abandonware games where they'll say, you know, oh, it's a false positive. And no, it is not a false positive. That is 100% a virus that they upload into some distributions. I mean, yeah, I guess if you're well connected at the source, you know how to get it, so that's completely safe. But yeah, I put it like this. I have seen false positive claims before. I've seen that plenty of times where you scan that through the virus scanner, and then like this is more than just a crack to get it working. You run it through like Virus Total, and it's showing no, this is like a keylogger kind of thing that they're. So yeah, so I think that says where their mind's at as far as gaming in general. So to me, that's like the number one thing. If I buy a game, or can I run it in the future? And if the company can't give me a straight yes, then I have like then like my trust level has fallen to the point where like every other issue is just kind of like a minor thing to me. Yeah, a lot of people said that they're probably gonna make the new Bethesda games. Oh yeah, that's a good. I finally saw the Chernobyl series. They're making a false positive. Not bad, not great. Yeah, that's a reference to the HBO Chernobyl series. Yeah, that's a great analogy to the false positives. Yeah, somebody's mentioning Game Pass is killing game piracy the way Spotify kill music piracy. I'm less familiar with the reference for Spotify, but yeah, no, I think Game Pass is a pure Trojan horse. I mean, yeah, not a literal virus Trojan horse, but like metaphorically, as in they're trying to like, hey, what a great deal, what a great deal. Oh, look, now it's streaming only for the new game. Oh, you know, and then that's when everything starts going to hell. But I am gonna have my secret weapon video probably not happening this month because I want to prioritize Halloween just completely. So Halloween and Freeman's Mind. I might keep doing Freeman's Mind through October in addition, but it'll be slower. But well, not slower compared to the last episode, but slower compared to Halloween stuff. Yeah, because Freeman's Mind's way overdue. I apologize about that. But yeah, they're probably going to make exclusives for PC and Xbox. So I guess if you're on PlayStation, that's bad news, you know, and you're an Elder Scrolls fan. I guess for me personally, it's not as big a deal because I haven't been. I mean, you can get upset. I've never been like super enthused about Bethesda games for the most part. I mean, like, and this goes all the way back. Well, not all the way. I didn't start playing Elder Scrolls until Morrowind. And the thing is, I played Morrowind after I played Gothic, and I was way more impressed by Gothic. So, and I've always had a similar feeling about all their games, like the newer Fallouts and the Skyrim and Oblivion, where, like, on a technical level, it's always super impressive. Like, wow, that all this work went into creating this world. However, I'll start playing, and you know, it starts off thinking like, oh, it's amazing, and then just not too long, maybe like an hour or two in, even that fast, it starts feeling like a little hollow, and it just starts feeling more and more like that towards me, and then I'm not that into it. However, that said, I 100% would love to explore all their worlds in VR. Like, I'd love to take another pass at Oblivion and Skyrim and just kind of ignore the game, probably just mod it, and just kind of go on a tour and see all this stuff as though I'm really there. So yeah, their world building's great. I mean, but I think the last game I played that was published by Bethesda that I was like, yeah, this is good. I enjoyed this. Like, beginning to end was probably Wolfenstein the New Order. That one hit a lot of marks that I liked. So I did try to play some of the newer, it's not the new, Doom 2016. It's like, it's like I kind of liked it, but there's subtle things I didn't, but then I really didn't like how they just keep trying to steer you towards the glory kills. And like, it's like, I'd rather just do that when I feel like it, and you can technically play the game that way, but it is so not balanced around that, because like, okay, let's say I'm going to play this, it'll be a little bit harder, use guns only. And then, I shoot them, and then they stagger. I shoot them again, then they stagger if I don't do it quick enough. So it's like, I'm getting that chopping down a tree feeling unless I'm using overwhelming force, like a rocket or something, but I don't have enough ammo to do that. So I don't like the flow of the new Doom. And it sounds like they just doubled down on that for Doom Eternal, even though they added, it sounds like a lot of cool stuff aesthetically for Doom Eternal. So yeah, somebody's saying I do not want to try it. So it's like, it's like close to something I like, but I mean, I guess I'm old fashioned that, in a first person shooter, I like to shoot things. That's what it comes down to, I mean, and I'm not saying it's like invalid gameplay. I mean, a lot of people love the new one. I mean, it has its own technique to it, but that's what it comes down to. In a first-person shooter, I like to shoot things. So that's not the new Dooms aren't taking you there completely, I tried some of Prey actually. It's just I'm just getting picky, guys. Like I try, like it started off the aesthetics kind of threw me off a little bit. Like it had this coloring that just kind of gave me a mood I didn't really like. But I ended up giving up on it and watching a playthrough. To be honest, it just wasn't grabbing me. I played a few hours in. I made it to the base. Well, I mean, past all the intro stuff. I got a few weapons. I think I made it to the first office you're supposed to go to where they reveal some of the more of the plot. I don't know. It just it just felt kind of like twiddly, I guess, to me, for lack of a better word. Have you played the original? Yes, I played the original Prey all the way through. So yeah, I'm talking about the newer Bethesda Prey. Yeah, it was. I don't know. Something about it just didn't click. And like I said, I am getting picky. And you know what? The game industry, I can afford to be, because the game industry just is throwing so many games at me. So, I mean, it's like on a story level, I kind of wanted something a little more fleshed out. And on a gameplay level, I kind of wanted something a little less crafty, I guess, where you have to like manage your inventory real carefully. I don't know. It's like I would have to stop. Yeah, here's the thing that people may not realize when I do Game Dungeon or give opinions on games is that I don't always know why I really like a game or I really don't. I have to stop and think about it. Sometimes I figure it out. Sometimes I never do. Because, you can point to little things, but it's like I think my mind's really tuned to everything as a whole, where it's just like, it just starts grabbing me immediately, or it doesn't feel off, or something feels off, and I never know why. Actually, I did not try Moon Crash. Maybe I should watch a playthrough of that. But it's, so you can point to little things that you like or dislike, but sometimes I can think of other games that might have had those same little problems that I really liked and I was willing to just completely give a pass on. But like, I don't know. I think a lot of gamers have experienced this where, how some games, they just grab you like right away and then you just keep liking them. And even if it has problems, you're willing to overlook them unless the problems get to just such a critical level that you can't stand it. I tried some of the first Dishonored, but I didn't get too far into it. Maybe I should give maybe Dishonored's better. A lot of people like that one. But I don't know. I just get picky. It's like, for example, this is a good example. The gameplay, the learning curve was kind of a wall for me, but for sure I'm going to go back and give like Sunless Sea another shot. Because the atmosphere, that's grabbing me because I like that, like, oh, there's this big mysterious ocean out there. It's full of these kind of Lovecraftian horrors and weird mystery. It's like, like the gameplay, it doesn't look like my favorite, but like the theme of it, it's just, I want to go back, give that another shot, So that's what I mean. It's like sometimes the theme of it or the atmosphere really draws me in, so that I'm willing to overlook a lot of stuff that would normally turn me away. Even turn me away from games where I might like the gameplay more, but like the theme less. Like that's kind of why I never did the Age of Empires games. It's like, well, this is more historical stuff. I'd rather do the sci-fi and fantasy stuff. So, okay, so back to the question though. I haven't played Fallout 4, but a lot of people say it's not that great. Fallout 76 certainly isn't getting a lot of positive impact. Oh yeah. See, this is why why a company can't make that claim about a game lasting forever unless they have an end of life plan ready to go. Because now they have new ownership. What if Microsoft says, no, just shut it down later? Oops. Well, then they went back on their forever claim that you're going to be able to play it forever. Like, I'm just waiting. This will be a good test. Like, how long is Fallout 76? Does anyone actually believe Fallout 76 will be playable forever? That was their claim. So we'll see how long that has for this world. I mean, they're sticking to it longer than I would have thought, but although that's another game, hey, I'd be happy to just take a tour through the world in VR and that's it, of Fallout 76. Yeah, so I guess I guess the only positive thing is maybe this will create some real pressure if Microsoft has any brains or knowledge of what they've bought. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. They might kind of force them, like, okay, guys, get off the Game Biro engine, Game Brio, one of the, like, get a new engine. Like like Unreal seems to do a lot these days. Maybe do that, I mean, look, from what I've seen, it sounds, I've abandoned the Source engine. I can believe what was it, Game Biro? I forget the name of it. I think it's either Game Biro or Game Brio. Game Brio engine, I can believe that's even worse than Source at this point. And it's just, they should have just put it down a long time ago. Okay, Game Brio, everybody's saying. Yeah, so maybe the acquisition can force that. Some other thoughts on this. What? I got a second opinion on this because my wife is a big Minecraft player. So she's much more familiar with Microsoft's influence buying an existing IP. So I asked her, like, okay, in her opinion, what is how does she think how is Mojang operated since Microsoft bought them out? And in her words, she feels they've done the absolute bare minimum, is what it feels like to her. Says, I'm pretty much quoting her. And I can't remember if she said that modders have done either 1,000 or 10,000 times more for the game than what Mojang has done, with the Microsoft coffers. Like, so I'm just I'm just relaying that. I haven't played Minecraft in a few years. In fact, she uses my old account. So if you ever see the Piggyback Bandit on Minecraft, that's her. That's her. But it's yeah. So that's her weighing in on it. And I had another thought on it. Just slipped me. Oh yeah, that what? Yeah, they've also said that they're not stopping here. They're gonna buy more studios. And here, I want to get an exact quote so I get this right. Here, give me a second. What? Yeah, the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, I think. I always want to call him Nutella. Like, that's always what my brain thinks. Oh yeah, okay. So here's a quote from the Microsoft CEO on their acquisition. They spent what, $7.5 billion. Yeah, I think it pointed out that's more than Disney got. That's more than Disney spent on like what Marvel and Star Wars combined. I think it's like, man, if I was a business, I know which ones I would rather own if I wanted to make money. But what the? Yeah, okay. So here's a quote from him. You can't wake up one day and say, let me build a game studio. The idea of having content is so we can reach larger communities. It's like, you're valued at over $1 trillion. Yes, yes, that's exactly what you can do. You can say, hey, we're going to make a game studio and just go and start like harvesting the right people in the industry or put out notices. Like, and the thing is, you could experiment too, because you could have, okay, let's say you get your industry heavyweights that they're making the kinds of games that you want for, I'd say harvesting, more like poaching, for poaching the right people from other studios. And like, so some AAA people that you kind of know what you want. But then you could also, for like, let's say 1/10 of what you're spending on them or that studio or those resources, you start finding tons of indie projects that did well, saying, hey, we'll let you do whatever you want. It's just that you're flying the Microsoft banner now. And because seems like you're going to, we're going to get like 20 of them. And because we're talking, I mean, they spent $7.5 billion. Let's not forget that. Let's say 20 of them, and let's say we're expecting some of them to fail, but if they have like this, they're making interesting stuff. So maybe not even fail, but just not be that profitable, or maybe they're only like a little bit profitable. So okay, maybe we allocate less resources, but then they're capturing the hardcore sim crowd. Well, actually, those need more money. But let's okay. So let's say like the indie platformer crowd, where we have a couple games for there, and then we have another for some other genres. Let's say real-time strategy stuff, or I'm trying to think of some other niche genres that they could have. But you make like 20 of them, and the thing is, maybe some of them aren't profitable or aren't that profitable, but others are, and your average is good. And the thing is, it's not just the raw numbers, it's that you're having the long tail impact. So yeah, somebody else is doing like, honestly, I think this is smart. This is what League of Legends is doing with their money, is they're trying to like, okay, we're going to make a real-time action RPG. Okay, we're going to make a card game. Okay, we're going to make a Overwatch knockoff. Like, so it's like, I'm surprised they're not doing something like that. So, but yeah, it's like, of course, I mean, yeah, you can't have a game next month if you're just buying a game, if you're just starting a game studio. So yeah, you need a few years lead-in time. But I mean, how long have they had how long has Microsoft been involved? How long has Microsoft been worth like billions of dollars and been involved in gaming? They could have. Well, that's what I mentioned in the follow-up video. Yeah, they just dropped PC gaming for a long time, just about. Yeah, so I thought that was just, that shows where their mind's at. Like, you can't just say, oh, I'm going to make a studio. Like, well, if you have tons of money, of course you can, you know? But, oh yeah, one final thought. Now I'm losing it again about Microsoft. Yeah, but, geez, did I lose it completely? Yeah, there was the quote. Oh yeah, that was it. I did see one. So yeah, they're planning on buying more studios. That they've said it, but and I saw some comments. They're asking like, what would be the best studios for them to buy? And I have to say, one of them stood out to me. I think Konami, because with Konami, there's nowhere to go but up. You know, if they were to buy it out, and I realized they could. They could. They could probably get the lawyers involved to come up with a deal that like both sides are pretty happy. Like, okay, like they could even share the IP. We're like, okay, so for the purposes of pachinko machines, the original Konami owns all rights. So like only Konami as it is right now can keep making pachinko machines. So Microsoft can't get involved in that market. But for just video games and merchandise strictly related to that are not pachinko machines, then Microsoft takes that portion over. So then we start getting new Castlevanias or a Metal Gear Solid or something. I think people will be. See, that's what I said. Microsoft, you don't know what to expect. I think overall the trend's going to be very bad. I mean, but we're talking like years out. And it's not just going to be Microsoft. It's going to be like a wave. You know, I thought of like a Warhammer reference. I still need to play it, but in Warhammer Total War, I've heard in the campaign, you have all these small battles, but as time goes on, like the forces of chaos just start coming in from the edges of the map and like sort of overwhelming it. So it's like they're going to be. So I'm talking more about the forces of chaos coming in and just decimating everything when I say it's going to be bad. In the short term, you know, the alliance might be good, you know, especially if they were to buy Konami or the video game rights to Konami, you know, yeah, because. You know, I've been thinking of that. Like, you know how Activision, they like to have a Call of Duty it's either every year or two. It might be every year. Like they all swap between studios. Me personally, I would be totally fine if just a new sort of 2D Castlevania platformer was just coming out each year. Like they assign that to multiple studios. It's like, oh, what's Castlevania this year? You know, I think they actually could be profitable, but probably not profitable enough for like major corporations to be interested in it. But my understanding is once you get to a certain size, this isn't just games. It's like a lot. Once your corporations start getting enormous, they really stop being interested in the long tail, and they just want like the giant whale deals that get them. They're just tons of money per project and throw everything into those. And they're not interested in maintaining like, you know, hundreds or thousands of smaller things. Even, I guess it's just, I guess it's probably less money in the short, maybe in the long term too. However, I also see that as a lot safer because then if you run into harder times, you still have you still have like a real strong interest by fostering like a lot of that long tail interest in products. But yeah, I would like to see more Castlevania like 2D platforming games just to keep coming out. So let's see. So yeah, I don't think people would be too upset if they bought Konami or just, hey, bought the video game rights to Konami. So Konami keeps its pachinko machines, but you know, they can't. And then you could have Silent Hill back on the map. Metal Gear Solid. Well, for me, Castlevania I'd be most interested in, but yeah, it was. So people were okay. Somebody was saying that there was a Castlevania game every year from 2001 to 2009. People complained they were too samey. I wouldn't. Well, fine, every 2 years then. Or I guess the thing is, it doesn't matter if people are complaining. It matters if they start becoming unprofitable. So maybe they became unprofitable. But Yes, that's the thing. Complaints mean nothing to the industry. It matters, like, is the profit margin going down? Hey, it didn't. It sure kept Assassin's Creed going for a while like that. But okay, let's see. Yeah, that was just the first question. I'm already okay. So I should go faster now. Let's see. Back to the. Oh, did I lose my spot? All right. Okay, I mean, lose my page. Yep, I did. All right. I'll try to go faster. So yeah, I'm not optimistic about it, but it is what it is. Okay, shoot, I gotta mention this. This is like a sub question underneath that. How do you think it will affect Linux gaming? I think it might make it worse because Microsoft, they're likely to get more heavy-handed with the DRM. I mean, look, Microsoft has DRM so successful, they can keep their own games off of new versions of Windows. So, I mean, pirates haven't been able to, well, I mean, they probably haven't bothered to crack it for the newer version. Yeah, once you can integrate your games with the OS itself, you can get away with more, which means it's not that Linux users need to crack the game necessarily, but if they need to get a Windows game running on Linux, they might basically need to circumvent the DRM. So maybe they do need to crack it. You know, it's not that they need to pirate it, but they need to. So, oh yeah, that was the other news. The Windows XP got leaked. The source code to Windows XP got leaked. So it's out in the wild. And yeah, it's hard to say how that'll go. I've heard a conspiracy theory that Microsoft did this themselves because they want everyone to, they want these big vendor businesses and holdouts still on XP to get off there and move to Windows 10 because that's going to open up a lot of vulnerabilities. Like if there's anything there, people are going to flood into that. However, yeah, I've had, and there's also another conspiracy theory that now that the code is out there, they could use this to take legal action against Wine because whether it has because they could argue that, oh, it's using code from the new build of Windows. Although I think it's open source, so you can kind of prove that's not the case, but maybe there's some legal trap that it's like that, oh, now that you were stealing from the code on some IP level. I don't know. I don't think that's probably. I've heard another person saying like, there's no way Microsoft is competent enough to have that kind of long-term workaround strategy. And you know what? I kind of have to. I kind of lean towards that for two reasons. That no, it's not a big conspiracy theory. The two reasons are, one, it also announced there might be an upcoming like leak of Xbox code, and that would be great because then we could have like a really robust emulator of the original Xbox. And you know, I can't think of any reason Microsoft would want to leak the original code to the Xbox. But the other is, you know what? I bet there are vulnerabilities in XP that still carry over to Windows 10. Probably not a lot of them. I mean, like Windows Vista and onward use a different code base in XP, but some stuff carried over. So it might be that might be pretty risky to just release all the source code out into the wild because, hey, looks like there's an emergency update we need to have for, you know, like, looks like there was a big vulnerability we missed all these decades, you know? And so it's kind of, I don't know. Maybe I'm off on that one. It seems a bit reckless for them to kind of do that intentionally. Oh yeah, speaking of which, I'm so far behind on, I'm like I said, I'm about a month and a half behind. I didn't make it to Windows 10. I'm still on 7. And now I'm thinking, well, actually now it's getting complicated because my first thought was, okay, you know what? I'm just going to wait till after Halloween because I don't want to have some big hang up. But I'll say, without giving too many details, one of the games I want to cover, it's one where I want to record a bunch of footage of it. You know, like some games I just kind of go in and record the parts I want after writing the script, and so I don't have to have just tons of footage. Others, I kind of need to get it all as I'm going because it's not really practical to load a saved game. Yeah, like The Crew, I had some of that going on. Well, actually, no, The Crew was different. I could just sort of hop in for a lot. There's some of them. I have one where it's definitely, I'm going to kind of want to record the full thing. And I'm trying to find a way to keep the quality relatively high, but not have the size go past, let's say it's like 12 hours or something. I don't want to have it like over 2 terabytes of, in size. So I was looking at the recording options, and OBS, look, I tested the hell out of it. I tried it in administrator mode, GPU recording only, like the modern version, although I still need to try the newest drivers. It might be related to drivers. Look, the frame pacing just screws up on mine. It'll be good 90% of the time, but I looked through it like, oh, it looked like it stuttered there. And I went through, and it did this thing where, like, it went forward like, it wasn't a dropped frame, but it went, it's weird. It was almost like, it was like 0.1 milliseconds farther ahead than the frame before it. So it looked like a stutter because it was a lot closer to that than having it paced evenly. But it happened. I have no idea why it does that. So again, I ran administrator mode, ran the newest copy, GPU recording. Well, actually, I tried multiple ways of recording it. So I don't know. It's not going to be a 12-hour game dungeon. Don't worry. That's what I'm saying is to maybe go through the game from beginning to end. I need that level of footage. You know what I mean? Because there's some stuff. That's the thing. I'm not going to need all that footage, but I don't know which part of that footage I'm going to need. And there's some stuff that, look, there's plenty of games like this. Like, it happens once, and if you missed it, you basically have to replay the entire game up to that point. And so I can't be doing that, so I need to be recording everything. So Fraps, it's nice, but I kind of want GPU recording for this if I can. So maybe moving to Windows 10 would iron out the bugs on it and everything. Although I might be able to experiment with that on a secondary system, so I'll see. But I'm still on Windows 7. For sure, I think the file size is going to get too big if I do it on Fraps, even with lossy recording. But yeah, I'll just have to see. Like, what's the go-to option? Let's say you want your footage just completely smooth. What record? But you want the file size more reasonable. Which recorder do you use? Because I swear this thing on OBS is real, but it may just be my system. So, okay. Next question. God, I spent way too long on that. Okay. Hey Ross, were Sonic fans able to answer your questions about the series to a satisfactory degree? Was there anything in particular you found interesting? To be honest, I haven't read through all of them. I read through some of them. I skimmed some. Though I wasn't satisfied with okay. Some of the answers that they gave. I mean, I was just sort of curious what we were going to come up with that. I wasn't satisfied that there shouldn't be vampire knuckles. I was thinking, no. However, one person dropped the truth bomb on me for that one. Okay, maybe Sonic fans can confirm this or not. But one person said that, unfortunately, they've retconned the Chaos Emerald so that it only affects male hedgehogs. If that's true, well, you know what? If they've retconned it, you can't do anything with that, unless you just want to ignore it. Although, I wouldn't be shocked if Sega doesn't. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Sega still gives you the license to a company if they wanted to make a Sonic game. Even if you don't follow the lore 100%, yeah, you might be able to slip that one through. So I wasn't buying that the Chaos Emeralds don't turn Knuckles into a vampire. I guess the other one is I didn't see a very good explanation for Tails, but look, I'll be honest. I was kind of I figure the Sonic fan base is so rabid that. I figure, let's throw them a stumper. Let's see what they do with this. And That's true. It's like that always did sort of bug me a little bit. Not that I really don't care that much, but at the same time, yeah, I did notice that just even as a casual Sonic fan. So I wasn't seeing explanations that really worked. I felt like I kind of was handing the Sonic fan base an impossible question with that one, but I was kind of curious to see like what sort of hoops people would jump through on that. Because I mean, it's kind of defying physics, I think. Because I think I did like seeing the debate that aroused from that. Yeah, that was probably my favorite part of the comments is seeing Sonic fans argue with other Sonic fans about something that got brought up in the video. But let's see, I'm trying to remember the other question. Oh yeah, with Robotnik, I need to read through it more carefully. But I saw, yeah, for his end game, I saw two basic answers cropping up. I wasn't sure if they were both true or it depends on like which Sonic game you're talking about. Like maybe it's two different versions, two different timelines. But there seemed to be his end game was either one, to just exterminate all life and replace everything with robots, and that's pretty bad, or two, make the whole world into an amusement park. Whereas, well, now that's interesting. I'm more. Tell me more. So. It's like, so one is like, I almost feel like they're underselling how bad a villain Robotnik is. And the other one, it's like, oh, well, I kind of want to see Robotnik's side of this more, So, yeah, I think we have, I wasn't sure if those are both consistent or like one, it depends like whether you're following like the cartoons or something and not the games. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. An amusement park called Earth? Hell yes. Like, so I kind of would. Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to see a Sonic game get too dark. So maybe they should kind of lean in more to the amusement park angle where, it's, we kind of want to see, kind of want to see Robotnik's side of this a little more. Like, but put this more in gray territory. if that's all he's. Yeah, God, I left that out of the video because it was getting too long already, but it's Sonic Forces. It's like, what the hell were they doing thematically with that? It's like, yeah, let's make this like halfway serious, like almost like this is a real war with anthropomorphic characters. It's like, yeah, let's have sad moments where we think Sonic might be dead, and like let's show let's show all these ruins and devastation of the city. It's like, what are they doing? This is a Sonic game, like, and then have like, yeah, like after you beat the game, like in the main menu, it's just like this faded black and white image and like a lone flower. You know what this reminds me of? Like Peanuts and the Charlie Brown cartoons. They did this one special where it was just like, what have we learned, Charlie Brown? And like the whole thing was just like this big retrospective on like how many people died in World War II. And it was like, what are they doing? This is for kids. Like, what? I mean, like, it didn't, to its credit, Sonic Forces didn't go like that somber. But it's like they were leaning into that. I was just like, no. What? Yeah, so I would say we need Sonic plus The Road crossover. I mean, I just, yeah, and like a lot of some of the levels are just ruins. It's like, I don't really like just devastated ruins. Maybe for like a climax, you show the city getting attacked or something. But I mean, it was just. So, Sonic Heroes, what I promised I had, thematically, it was 100% on point. We had the Whale Islands, the over-the-top Metropolis, yeah, futuristic with flying cars, everything, the spooky cat. Yeah, completely on point thematically. Like, that's what they should be aiming for. Yeah, Sonic's existential crisis. Yeah, is the music still chipper during the Ruin level? The music didn't stand out to me, so it was. It varied from just orchestra stuff that just, yeah, I thought of a line afterwards I should have added right there when I said like Sonic's the wrong game for that. I should have added the line We want music that would make Michael Jackson's Ghost proud. That's what we want from Sonic games. Music that would make his Ghost proud. So that's the mood we want for Sonic. I mean, come on. So yeah. Well, somebody's mentioning Sonic 06. Well, the thing is, Sonic 06 was a wreck, but that happened a while ago. I imagine the studios learned something from that. But yeah. Oh, and for people wondering, I've played Sonic Generations. I've played Sonic Mania. Played Forces. I've played the old 2D ones. Well, most of them. 1 through 3 in Knuckles and Sonic CD. I'm trying to think if I played. I still need to get to like the racing ones. I want to do those. But yeah, I unfortunately haven't played any of the console exclusive ones. However, that could change. I mean, maybe I'll eventually break out an emulator and start doing those. But I heard a rumor a while back, Sega might be bringing more of its IP to modern platforms. So who knows? It could be we start seeing Sonic Colors and Unleashed, or those, what was it? I think there was one like medieval and one Arabian Nights themed one. I don't even remember I remember the names of those. They might bring those to the PC and like modern consoles. Sega, I've been impressed with how they've been handling a lot of their old exclusive stuff. Like they brought Jet Set Radio back. Well, okay, I'm not going to look. I want to say it was like at least a decade after the fact that it came out on Dreamcast. So I think that's great that they're. So yeah, maybe I won't have to. So yeah, maybe if I wait a year or two, there'll just be a native PC port of like Unleashed and Colors and stuff like that. So yeah, well, I mean, I got a sample of that in Generations, I guess, because you get the sort of theme park version of the levels. But okay, I should keep moving on. Let's see. How do you feel about early boss fights that you're supposed to lose? Do you find it to be a waste of time? If not, do you think boss fights like that should be beatable but just unlikely to pull off? Yeah, I'm okay with those. I figure that those. Yeah, well, that second point, that's that would be the best way to do it. I mean, that would take more work, but like have this just like 1 in 1,000 chance you beat the boss right then and there, but you're not supposed to do that. Like maybe only if you've played the hell out of the game, every single exploit, you pull it up. I love the idea of like these really kind of like, again, like 1 in a million odd or 1,000 odds. Like I think it wasn't a boss fight, but I think I read that Metal Gear Solid, I want to say 5, had this ending option that was like almost impossible to achieve, but like people dived into the code and did it, where like it was like something like nuclear disarmament. Like if every online player agreed to not do this, then you would get this ending that it's like a it's like a super secret ending. And I like the idea of that, like of some super secret event happening if you just do what you're not supposed to do because you're just you run a hack or you're just fully exploit the game. So I like that idea. As for them losing early on, I'm okay with that. I guess the idea is like I see that as like a great opportunity to scare the player. Like so like you're coming against the boss early, and so it's just like, all right, and they're looking big and bad, and then just bam, like they give a punch to you, and that takes like 3/4 of your health just right there. And like you start healing up, and then just like another slam, they send you, basically make the player realize they are really outclassed. Like they're just like, oh God, like the best way to do it would be to make you think that you're going to lose the fight and you're not supposed to, and so you're kind of scaring the player. I like that idea, because they're like, oh no, like it's, but reality you're supposed to lose that part, and then you return to it later. I guess what I don't like is it's it's all right as a narrative thing. I don't like, I guess, seeing the boss over and over again. So if you get him once and then like for the final conflict or just before the final conflict, you face him off. Yeah, I guess that's it. I sort of like it when that's not the ultimate boss. It's like the one before him, like where, okay, so maybe you face him like you're like 5% into the game, you face the final boss, he kicks your ass, and then you go through the whole long game, and then you face him again at the end, and you defeat them, but then there was some other bigger boss behind him or something. I like stuff like that. Yeah, the boss is assisted. So, I like the reveals, where I like spectacle in games. It's fun. The what? I guess what I don't like, okay, is basically what Resident Evil 3 did. I mean the original Resident Evil 3, because since I haven't played the new Resident Evil 3, where there's this big mean boss, you defeat him, and then you walk off, and then he comes back, and then you defeat him again, and then he comes back, and it's like, no, if he's chasing you, that's a little different, because but like, I played that game, and I'm just like getting there frustrated. It's like, okay, game, you want me to suspend my disbelief, but you put me through so much misery with this boss. Like, I'm sorry, he's down there on the ground. Let's just cut his head off. Like, can we just cut his head off already at this point so he just doesn't come back? Because then I'm getting frustrated, and it's kind of like ripping me out of the game, Now, I mean, I guess there can be good and bad frustration. If I'm just frustrated because well, actually, it doesn't work so great for horror games, getting frustrated, but let's say a strategy game, like I'm like the enemy defeated me again. It's like, I just got to figure this out. That's a good level of frustration where like I've gone through 3 strategies and they've all failed. It's like, what am I supposed, where it's just me trying, it's like I just have to rise to a higher challenge. I'm all right with that level of frustration, but if I'm enjoying the gameplay. Yeah, for horror, that's not as good, because the more you do that, the more you're kind of getting numb to the scare factor, But, cut his head off with what? Okay, well, fine, then empty a clip of confirmation kills into his skull. Then, I mean, you can find a knife. There's lots of crap. I remember you're going through a wreck city in 3. You can find some crap in like a garage or a shop or something to cut the head off. I mean, so yeah, just don't keep frustrating your player with the boss. One failed encounter is plenty. I think. Okay, so I should keep moving on questions. Ross, have you ever played a game that you would legit rate a 4 out of 4 on the sex scale? Yeah, from the Phantasmagoria 2 rating. I have 1 maybe, and I think 1 yes. The maybe would be, I guess, the uncensored version of Leisure Suit Larry Magna Cum Laude. That's it's the sex scenes. They're kind of pushing the envelope on there, but I don't know if it would quite make it. My memory's too blurry on it. That's a funny game. Yeah, the gameplay in that game isn't that great, but that game is hilarious. Like I like there were parts I was just laughing at, just a ton of. Like, you'll screw up in these conversations, and like the writing, they went the extra distance on that. And the thing is, like, you're going around trying to hit on all these women, and you can sometimes screw up in the conversations, and like sometimes the screw ups are great, or just even the normal the stuff you're supposed to say could be, like, some lines I remember were like, it's like you're trying to have like you're trying to be a smooth operator, but you hit the wrong topic instead. So he's saying, something I've always wondered: why are leprechauns always such assholes? So it's like, oh yeah, you're not as smooth bringing that up. Like, or another one is you're talking to this mascot girl. Yeah, she's in the marching band, and he's saying, let's just like, wait a minute, we have a It's just like, wait a minute. Yeah, you're in a community college. Wait a minute. Our school doesn't even have a math department, but we have a touch football team or something like that. It's oh, I'm probably not going to make a video on this because I probably have to eat the cost on it, which would be okay, except it'll get kind of censored too. I was willing to do that for Phantasmagoria too, so it's going to get buried by the algorithm if I were to make it on there, or without having to censor it a bunch. And that's one of those where I don't know how much I need to censor. I'm okay with censoring if it's like real obvious. Okay, this part, not this part. But I feel like that might be like brushing up against YouTube's terms of service, where I don't know where I need to like cut it off. So, but since I'm probably not going to make a video on that, the one thing I really want to mention about that game is you go into the. Whoa. I'm blocking some of the lights so I don't blind myself. You go in, I think you go into the library in that game, and they have this mural that says the history of our town. And it has like this cartoon collage of things that have happened in the history. And it's extremely blurry. And the thing is, I can make out a little bit of it. And one of them is obviously a giant mech Abe Lincoln, rising above the town, while it's on fire. And I was thinking, I have never wanted to see a texture shown at full resolution than that image, than that particular image, that texture in that game. So maybe people can take a crack at that one. Yeah, Leisure Suit Larry, magna cum laude, the mural inside the library. It says the history of our town, and it's just too blurry. All I was able to make out was the giant mechanical Abe Lincoln, robot Abe Lincoln, devastating the town. So, man, I want to see the rest of the history of their town. So I'm saying, can't you AI enhance it? Maybe you can, but you probably have to dig into the files and dig it out. And I've been thinking this. Ever since I saw it. Ever since before AI upscaling was even an option. So, yeah. Feel free to take a crack at that one. It would. And the other one that I think definitely does qualify is these were Flash games. It was romp.com. It was called Booty Call, where the idea is each one is its own little mini episode where you play this guy trying to go and get laid. And each time it's in a different environment. Sometimes you're at a rave, or sometimes you're at the gym. And again, those are hilarious. The dialogue, I was cracking up laughing at some of them. I'm trying to remember some of the examples of, but those are definitely adult ones. They don't censor anything. It's cartoon, right? But yeah, if you're legal age, I would recommend those if you want something. Yeah, those might get cameos in future game dungeons if things come up that are related. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, there was one. Yeah, I think there was. They would kind of exaggerate things a little bit with the cartoon. I remember, you take this girl back to your place, and then she says, "Hey, you said you had some stuff to smoke?" It's yeah, right here. And he holds up a bag of weed, and she's like, "Oh, weed? I thought you had crack." And then as she says crack, her face distorts like this, and he says "Oh, hells no!" He says, I'm trying to think of some other ones. Oh yeah, one of them you play is a broker on Wall Street, and you're trying to score these big deals as with these investors. And I remember, I have to wonder if they had some awareness on it, where you're trying to promote this new IP. It's romp.com. Oh, it's a sure thing. And of course, that site's dead now. It's I think those are still look up Jake's. Yeah, Jake's the main character, but I think it's just romp.com Booty Call if you want to. Those are hilarious. The gameplay is not that great actually, because it's kind of it's a forking. It's choose the right path out of a forking path. So it's kind of cool seeing you mess up, what happens if you make the wrong decisions. but then you have to start all over. And then so you keep seeing the early stuff and then you don't see enough of the later stuff. So yeah, those are Flash games. Those probably would get the highest rating for sexual content, but it's well written, it's hilarious. So yeah, I'd recommend it if you're into that. So yeah, don't look at it if you're easily offended. It's it's not very progressive. So. Okay, what is the most ridiculous thing you've experienced in your life? Jeez, I was thinking about this when I was trying. Well, okay, this isn't, because I'm trying to think of like just the most zany stuff that defies explanation. I guess it just probably got buried in my memory. But okay, one is just, this is just kind of straight up ridiculous. This isn't as interesting, I guess, but when just the whole, it's not the thing with my contract at Machinima, that was just them being bastards. But when Machinima actually hired me, like I've mentioned this before, they were in a rush to get me there as soon as possible. So I asked if they wanted me to drive across so I could move my stuff. No, they paid to fly me out there as soon as possible. Paid for a moving van to take my stuff that would arrive a few weeks later, just to get me there as soon as possible. So it's like, okay, fine. And then they did not have a computer for me for 9 weeks. It took them 9 weeks after I got there for them to have a computer for me. This is a digital media production company, and they're hiring me to make videos, and they don't have that. It takes them that long to get me a computer after rushing me out there. I was just like, see, at least with them trying to screw me on my contract, that was in their interest because they can retain all the IP, screw everybody out of going elsewhere, force people to accept their terms. This hurts them. Like this was like, they probably wasted thousands of dollars total on all of it. I was thinking, there's no reason for it, like at all. I mean, I could sign the contract ahead of time, so that I could have been locked in, and like it made just, so 9 weeks. Yeah, I guess working there is what made me realize that, like, the Dilbert comic, I always used to assume that was an exaggeration. It's like, yeah, all this stuff is like, all this office politics and dysfunction, yeah, that goes on. It's just a little more over the top for Dilbert. That's where I learned, no, it's not even an exaggeration. Like, it is, in some cases, it's just 100% that dysfunctional. So, I mean, I remember thinking that really kind of surprised me. That, like, I assumed there would be, like, a level of competency higher than that. Oh, yeah, and then after, like, a month, they were asking, like, well, how long it's going to take to get the videos? Like, well, I don't have a computer. I don't have a place to record. And so it's like, oh, okay, but, well, we really kind of need, it's like there was, like, there's like double think going on. Like, there's cognitive dissonance where they understand, yeah, you really do need that, but at the same time, we need to have these videos by this date, even though we didn't tell you about the date or the deadline. And it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll have to get into that. And it just kept going like that cyclically. I mean, it was basically parody level stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't even an exaggeration. So, yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. That, again, this is stuff that, like, even if you're a bastard and you're not that good at comedy, this is like stuff that, okay, like, he makes videos. Yeah, I guess he needs a computer. Yeah, I guess we should. All his videos are 3D animated graphics. So yeah, and he says he needs a computer. I guess we should get him a computer. That's one, even if you're like a bad manager, you should that much should probably process, So it's yeah. I mean, even then, I was only able to do videos after I moved because I just started working from home at my new home a few weeks later after all my stuff arrived from the moving van. Because then I at least had my computer at home. And they still didn't have a computer for me at the office, so there's no reason for me to come in. So, but for wacky stuff, I'm unfortunately drawing a blank as to some of the wackier stuff, but one I did remember, this is 100% true. When I was living in Pittsburgh, I remember walking down the road, on the sidewalk, and there was this guy on a cell phone, an older guy, maybe it's like 50s or 60s, and he was saying, and I overheard part of the conversation, and again, just 100% true here, and what he said was, well, if the knife was in your hand and it had blood on it, of course they're gonna think you done it. I mean, maybe he was staged. It really didn't look like the kind of guy who would stage that. And I tried not to laugh while I was right next to him, but it's like, if that was in your hand and it had blood on it, of course they're going to think you done it. Like, I mean, and he's not wrong. Well, whatever was going on. Even if the guy's innocent, this is circumstantial evidence that just it's not gonna work in his favor. So that's 100%. This is in Pittsburgh that I heard that. Downtown Pittsburgh. This was in early 2000s, I guess, or maybe mid 2000s. So yeah, I remember that was pretty goofy. But, well, I guess goofy from my perspective, probably not so good for the guy involved. Jeez. I guess if he's telling the truth, he has some bad luck heading his way. Gee. But, I mean, it was just... yeah, I mean, I guess I should have laughed. Well, I don't know the full story. I guess that's how I could laugh. But, I mean, just hearing that, completely, all I did was just overhear the phone conversation, so... Yeah. I hope I hope they found some evidence in his favor if he was innocent. I mean, yeah, assuming the guy's of whatever the crime was, I mean, yeah. I mean, fingerprints and blood on the knife, that's not good, if it's involved in an assault or murder. But yeah, okay. Well, I guess the part that is still funny is that the guy I heard on the phone had to explain that to him. Like guilty or innocent. The fact that you need that explained to you, it suggests that maybe you haven't been thinking hard enough on this situation, whatever it is. But yeah, I remember that I remember that part crystal clear because it stood out to me. I'll try to think of more ridiculous stuff next time. Okay, with the crazy things happening during the quarantine, such as the burning of 5G towers, parties in the U.S. spreading. Uh-oh, I'm gonna have to censor that off the YouTube copy. I said it again. I think they demonetize it when you say it, but I'm still on Twitch right now. Okay. And that time toilet paper became a rare commodity. Okay. Yeah, well, how far am I? Okay, I'm about an hour, 20 minutes. Okay. Does this mean that humanity was always this prone to absurdity, or that this pandemic is revealing that there are too many people that are either apathetic or have a lack of critical thinking, or another reason I can't think of? Well, it's a little bit of both. Yes, humanity has always been this absurd. However, I feel like it's been weaponized more effectively now than in the past, because you can target. Because okay, let's say you see before, like if you had like small villages or something like that, or even just like cities historically, if somebody starts saying crazy stuff, everybody around saying, you're crazy, Bob, and it sort of has like a reinforcing factor to it that, there's always been wacky people, but it's not spread as easily. Or the people who can kind of cast some, you're not going to win everybody over, but you can cast some reason, whereas now you can get a lot of people just 100% receiving just this kind of skewed information or takes on things, and they never hear any other perspective, or there's nobody to keep them in check. So they can kind of drift off into their own worlds to the point where it's kind of skewing reality. And sometimes there's like economic incentive for that. Like, let's say if you're saying something outrageous, like, like, well, let's say you're saying something outrageous, but you run a show that has ads, or, people subscribe. Well, you need to keep saying outrageous stuff to them. Otherwise, you lose your viewers and then you lose your income. So there's an economic incentive to just keep saying crazy stuff. Whereas I'd say in the old days, the most of the time that happened, it was kind of more for con men, where it's like, oh yeah, well, snake oil, that's where the expression comes from, the miracle elixirs. So it's in their interest for you to believe something false, but for everybody else, it's like, well, no, you took this stuff, it didn't make me cured, and like, just get the hell out of town, and which they probably would, because they can keep spreading the lie more if they're going to the next town, and something like that. Whereas, it's like with just mass media and social media, it can be targeted in a way that you don't get like the more natural feedback that we would have historically. So, but yes, humanity has always been this nuts. So don't think that that's a new phenomenon. It's just that it's a great analogy towards the virus. There have always been deadly viruses. Right now, actually, I think I mentioned in a previous video chat, one thing I learned when I was making the follow-up episode is that actually when there's more deforestation, there's more just kind of collapse of the ecosystem, that lets viruses run more rampantly that might have been much more contained otherwise. Because like, let's say let's say there's some deadly virus right now deep in the jungle, right? Well, in the past, it might be deadly to us, but it can only be transmitted through certain animals, and those have a limited wandering range. So they just never kind of make it towards us. Or if it might affect like one village, but then it doesn't make it to the next one because it's cut off. But if you just clear cut a whole bunch of things so that now you have the animals that survive are the ones that can kind of travel great distances, and hey, one of them happens to be a bat or pigs that we domesticate, then those travel, and then it enters human society, and then we're just interconnected all over the place. So there were no natural barriers towards, so instead of having to make like 8 hops before it got to human civilization, now it only has to make 2 or something like that. So that means the odds of a super virus spreading are way higher the more the ecosystem gets devastated, because they're just, so it's the same sort of concept. Yeah, there was always the real crazy stuff going on, but there were more just kind of your neighbors, your family, and everything keeping things in check, because they think, well, this idea sounds crazy. You should have listened to that guy. It's like, oh, okay, and that casts some doubt on it. Whereas if you're in the absence of all that, it spreads more and more and more. So I think the dynamic is almost a perfect parallel to it. So. Yeah, well, so I was saying reality is overrated. Well, yeah, I agree on that. That's why I'm trying to get back to VR. I guess the difference is I prefer knowing when things are an illusion or not. I'm not, as much as I want to get into virtual reality, I like, in the back of my mind, I know it's not real, but I like having those moments and knowing of just kind of being immersed in it. But I don't want to be like those people who just strap it to their face and just go for days on end to try to like lose all utter contact with the world. I don't want to go that deep into it. But okay, do you have any specific Sonic songs in mind that you listened outside of the games? Yeah. Well, I mean, if I tend to be of the mentality where if I really like a song in a game, I'll probably listen to it outside of it. And there's other stuff that can, but yeah, well, the one that comes to mind first, just, I don't know, it just jumped out at me. Well, Sonic Mania had a lot of good music. The stuff that's new, I had already heard the original stuff that it remixes. One that jumps out, I forget the title of it. It's the mid-boss music. It's like something on the dance floor. Man, that one's so good. That's like one of the best in the series. But there was that music in the weird place that has. It's one of the later levels that looks sort of wintry. It's sort of a garden thing. I think there's one from. I've heard a remix that was put out on a CD. I think for Sonic Spinball, where it's like Toxic Caverns. There's a remix of it that's really good. It's like yeah, and I think I was thinking of Press Garden Zone. Thank you for the Sonic Mania one. But yeah, there's again, I haven't really heard the music from the from the 3D console exclusive ones. And I still need to play the racing ones. There's multiple ones of those, so I'm gonna get to the racing ones for sure. I'll probably get to the console ones eventually, but I'm in no rush because it might be if I wait, there'll be a native PC port. So, yeah, Sonic CD is weird. It's like there are plenty of tracks I really like in Sonic CD, but then like half or a third of the track will do something I don't really like. It's like, oh well, this is kind of a weird direction you're taking the music, and like whereas I was really digging it before then. Actually, something I left out of the review, I cut for time, in Sonic Heroes, I really like the first like 10, 15 seconds of What I'm Made Of. It's the music that plays when you start the Supersonic level. I didn't really care for the vocals on that, but the opening is awesome. I almost used that for the end credits music, but the timing didn't work out. I was like, I wouldn't mind hearing a remix of that one, like an instrumental one. Make it more of like a kind of a rock ballad kind of thing going on. Like it has a really great start. I really like the start to that. I kind of like it's the Team Chaotix music in Sonic Heroes too. That was pretty good. But yeah, there's Sonic Generations. It was most of it. I felt like it was either remixes or just forgettable. However, there was one that stood out to me, and that was the sort of 2D zone or 2.5D zone for, yeah, ironically from Sonic 06. The Crisis City. So the remix they made for Crisis City for classic Sonic, that one's great. There was part of that jumped out at me. It's like, whoa, this part's getting pretty good. Like, and it actually inspired me to go listen to the original because I was like, wow, and then I heard the original. I was just almost in shock how much worse it was. Like, I think I left this out of the review too. I think if I had been in charge of a big budget AAA Sonic game and they handed me that music, I might have been tempted to fire the guy or chew him out saying, what, you're handing us this? Like the original music for Crisis City and Sonic 06 is just, I thought it was pathetic. I mean, yeah, this is okay for like some budget mobile game that we just need to crank out. Yeah, okay. But man, they as far as I'm concerned, Sonic Generations they turned straw into gold with that song. I mean, the Sonic Generations ones is great. Yeah, tell you what, I'll have a link for it in the description. I'll write that down. Oh wait, don't want to remove my piece of paper there. So yeah, there's definitely other Sonic music I like. I'm gonna have to catch up on more of it. Yeah, so some people were disagreeing me on saying Sonic Heroes has the best 3D soundtrack. One that came up a lot was something, I think maybe the medieval one. We have to look up that. Again, I get a lot pickier when they start singing. But instrumental, like, so yeah, well, you guys know my standard. It's like, well, again, I kind of like rock stuff in general, but yeah, would this make Michael Jackson's Ghost proud? You know, like, have like this kind of funky grooving feel to it. Just really dig it. You know. I think that's the gold standard for what should our Sonic games music sound like, you know. But yeah, well, I mentioned, and maybe I was a little harsh on Sonic Adventure, but yeah, I guess I don't know. A lot of the music with Sonic Adventure, it was creative and interesting, but it just didn't really jive with me. I think my favorite from Sonic Adventure was like this one Casinopolis track. It's like and I like later it's like like it had this kind of big band feel to it that I can like some big band music. So like yeah, if I was alive in if I was alive 100 years ago or 90 years ago, I might have been into big band music because that has a lot of cool energy to it. You know, pre rock and roll music. I can see I might have been into big band stuff. Let's see. Have you heard that Among Us has an end of life plan to open source when the second game comes out? Have you heard of any other games doing this? I think somebody did tell me about that. Great. As for other games doing it, it's very rare. I'm sure I have. You'd probably have to go back and look at Dead Game News episodes, or maybe it got mentioned in that chart in the Games as a Service. Yeah, well, I mean, it's the what? It's the yeah. What the numbers? I think in the Games as a Service video, just from the best sampling I could do, it's like there's a 3.5% chance or that they'll handle it responsibly. So, well, I mean, Scrolls did that for Mojang. Like well, I don't know if they open sourced it, but they, in a way, open source is the best option. But if they're releasing a patch client, you can still play it. That's still pretty good. I guess open source is good because you can make the game into even more if you want, like if mod it and build on and do something else with it. But no, great. Maybe more games will do that. Although it's the classic thing where the games that most need this. Sorry, my attention span is limited. I'm only so good at like glancing at the chat while I'm talking. Let's see, but I'll answer some questions at the end here. I'm trying to rush through some more. But yeah, good. Keep it up. But the secret weapon video is coming and it is related to this. I'll say that. Let's see. In the second part of your 3-parter in Arcade America, you showed us the bad ending to the Oklahoma level. The one with the singing cow. Yeah, I think they had to look it up because somebody had uploaded it online. I imagine if your intention was to sort out after if we were actually curious. My question is that if no one had ever uploaded that footage, would you have shared it with us yourself within the episode, or would it still gotten omitted from the video? No, I guess if that was if I had literally the only copy of that game on the planet, then I guess I would have had to show you. But I probably still would have omitted it. Believe it or not, I'm not really into gross out humor. Yeah, I'm not the angry video game nerd, even though I like a lot of his stuff. There's some stuff where if it was my show, I thought, maybe I'll edit that part out, But I guess I like gross out humor when it's being used to shock other characters other characters within the game or the movie or whatever in a funny way. Then it can work. It's like the spectrum with where I like gross out humor. It's very narrow. Like I've seen the comedy group, was it Whitest Kids You Know? They've done a good job of that. There's one where they're having a board meeting, and then there's some gross stuff happens. Maybe I can link to that. I'll see. Even now, I'm debating whether I even want to link to that one, but it's pretty hilarious. Sonic writing notes what I need to link to after this. So, I probably still would have admitted it, because what I'm thinking is, like, I feel like I need to kind of defend my videos, like, from whether I like it or whether, again, I try my best to not hand you guys stuff that I think is garbage. And it's not necessarily that it's garbage, but that's not to my taste. So then it's like I have to defend something that's not really to my taste. And it's like, well, then what am I doing if I can't do that? So, what? So it's like that's just kind of a gross scene. So I'm imagining somebody's watching that. They're saying like, I'm going to turn this off, and now I'm okay with putting stuff in there that if I think, I want to put this in there. This is crazy. Or this is like, what are they doing? But that was for sure, that scene had that, but it was mostly just gross out. So it's just like, it's not like there wasn't enough wacky stuff in Arcade America already that I felt like that needed to be included too. Like with Phantasmagoria 2, I didn't want to. There's plenty in there I didn't want to cut out, like the scene, like the S&M scene where he's seeing his dead father. It's like, this is hilarious. I want to keep that in there, and I can see where that's too much for some people, but well then. You don't want to watch that episode, So yeah, I feel like I have to be able to defend if I'm having something gross or offensive in there. I feel like I want to be able to defend it personally, like well that was to my taste, or just the context of that was to my taste, within the video. Like I could feel like for sure I think I was testing people's limits on Armed and Delirious, but at the same time this is just an odyssey. It's just like what's happening here? It's just kind of in a stupor. We're okay, fine. Let's just keep going. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Okay. I guess I'm not on question 15 yet. What was your first Easter egg that you've encountered, or which one do you find the most interesting or fun? Whoa, get a little dizzy there. There's always less oxygen in the room when I do this. Oh yeah, so I was mentioning Board James. Yeah, Board James, but Board James has some great episodes in it. Let's see, but okay, first Easter egg. I was thinking about, I'm not sure. It might have been, I feel like I probably saw some before this, but this is one I remember. So it might have been Commander Keen in Doom 2. He's in the secret level. That's kind of an Easter egg, but I'm sure there's others. Which ones do you find the most interesting or fun? Yeah, I guess we kind of blur the line between what's an Easter egg and what's a secret level. I'm a fan of secret levels. But let's see, one that's the most. Well, no, I can't mention it because it's going to be coming up soon in a game dungeon. So okay, there's one I gotta leave out. Let's see, I'm trying to think of like some of the. Yeah, I was thinking one of the first ones I encountered might have been in. Oh, okay, yeah. I think Commander Keen had a lot of them. The standard intergalactic alphabet. Yeah. That's a good, which got a new lease on life because Notch was a fan from Minecraft. Where you have these signs, and then I think like by the later games you see the full alphabet, and then you can go back and translate them. I remember I did that as a kid for a lot of the signs. So yeah, that might be a good. That might be a good one. The standard intergalactic alphabet, or standard galactic alphabet. I forget the name of it. I hope the chat didn't freeze. Okay, good, it didn't. Yeah, I like hidden messages where if you bought, Diablo. That's why I didn't find out till later. On the last level. You start hearing, well, they did do that in Doom 2, but I like Diablo's better. they played this audio backwards, like, and then if you play it backwards, it says, "Eat your vegetables and brush after every meal." And like, so that's what they're saying at the last level of Diablo. Like when you're in the bottom level of hell. Yeah, that's one of my favorites for sure. Yeah, there were tons of signs in the Commander Keen one. Yeah, I mean, I think Doom 2, yeah, Doom 2 definitely did it first, but Diablo's context and message I thought was better. Yeah, their message was better. Yeah, Blizzard has tons of good ones. Like when you click too many times on the units. Yeah, that goes way back. At least to Warcraft 2, maybe even Warcraft 1. I forgot. Like I remember there was one I liked so much, like for the trolls in Warcraft 2, I swapped the audio so that like when the trolls, when you click on them too many times, one of them they just start going, you know. So I changed that to just make that the standard when you gave them orders. So I selected them, click over there, like they're just like, so they're just pissed off. They're giving them orders all the time. Oh man, I'm trying to. Oh yeah, that's. Well, I'm sure a lot of Blizzard fans know this. One I recognize. Yeah, I think this is in Warcraft 2. Yeah, this was a real Easter egg. When you click on the orcs, it'll say Zug Zug, and I was thinking, wait a minute, I know what that means because that's from the movie Caveman with Ringo Starr. That means sex in the. They come up with their caveman language in that movie. So they're always going Zug Zug, you know. So I knew that before. I'd seen the movie before I played Warcraft 2. So yeah, that's an Easter egg for sure. Let's see. What are some others? Yeah, I don't know. Blizzard's loaded with them. So Blizzard has like a lot of clever ones. Well, oh yeah, I like the. Well, you know that wasn't really an Easter egg. That was a April Fool's video. The yeah, they had the yeah, the archivist or something for Diablo 3. I remember that was kind of neat. Okay, well I have to think of more, but okay, let's see. Since it's almost Halloween and we all know it's your favorite holiday, how do you usually spend Halloween? Well, I'm working real hard to see if I can have it free, but before I got so busy making the videos, I guess I guess as a kid I would go the full distance trick or treating. Like I covered a lot. Yeah, I feel kind of lucky. Okay, well, since I saw the question, I think Warcraft 2 soundtrack is great. But going back to the question, yeah, I was lucky that I got to grow up and have the classic trick or treating experience, because that was kind of on the wane even before the pandemic, and now it's just probably gutted. So I guess, yeah, when I was younger, I liked to go trick or treating. I guess as I got a little older, I always used to like to put out decorations. Actually, that worked out in my mother's favor because I would rake all the leaves, because we could fill these bags with the raked up leaves that would be like gigantic pumpkin heads or Frankenstein monster heads, because the bags would be shaped that way and you fill them up with leaves from raking. So she got a lot of like yard work out of me before, because I wanted to have these giant heads on the lawn. You know, putting up plastic skeletons or what? Yeah, I used to love having the decorations. Or yeah, jack-o'-lanterns. Yeah, a lot of you. Actually, maybe I can put up. I did a jack-o'-lantern a few years ago. Even when I was here, I had a little bit of time for one, or I carved it ahead of time. I used to like carving jack-o'-lanterns. But we took a photo of that one, so maybe I can put it up if people are interested in that. Or yeah, maybe put it in the description. Yeah, I'll upload it somewhere. People are. Let's see. Oh yeah, well, I would always like to watch scary movies or play a scary game. Usually, scary movies more because scary movies would be finished, whereas a scary game, I kind of like to do that through October, where you might not be finishing a scary game in one night. So, uh, yeah, just watch multiple scary movies. Um, let's see. Yeah, I guess I never really had a lot of contact with Halloween parties, I guess. But so I guess I sort of missed out on some of those. Well, I don't know. I guess there was I did one when I was younger. There was one when I was a kid. There was one at it was like a public thing. It was like at a skating rink. So I went there I was dressed up as sort of like a mad scientist. I had like a lab coat on and like had just sort of crap in my hair to make it look sort of stuck up and white. Let's see. Oh yeah, well, I guess I don't really have any stories that really stand out. Although I remember my dad helped me out with one that was awesome. I think we did this for a couple of years for trick-or-treaters. At our house, there was a bush right by the front door. And my dad helped rig it up so we had the plastic skeleton there, and the skeleton actually had like a little attachment there so you could hang it from things. Yeah, I remember that was a conflict. My mom didn't like how I made a noose and hung the plastic skeleton from the tree branch. She thought it was a little too far. And I was so, but we got it rigged up. So my dad set up like a little pulley. No, it wasn't. It might not have even been a pulley. I think it was just across the railing with fishing line. So that it was attached. So like when you open the door, the skeleton would come up from out of the bushes, and that would just scare the hell out of trick-or-treaters. And the thing is, that worked out really well because your attention's focused on the door. So this is coming at you from your peripheral vision. So that's even better. Oh man, people would be screaming from that. That was one of my all-time favorites because because your attention's focused here, so it's coming at you from your peripheral vision, which increases the scare factor even more. And that reminds me of a great Halloween story. Yeah, this is when I was little. Our neighbor, like across the street from us, or like diagonally or house or two down, he was a fireman, and every year he would do the same thing, where he would just kind of put, some people, they want to go to bed early or they just don't want to answer the door. So they'll put out like a bucket of candy and just try to implement the honor system of people just taking a few, even though that usually doesn't last too long. But they would, what he did, so he had something like that. The porch light was on, to see the candy, to say, please take a few. But the thing is, he had this stuffed kind of scarecrow just lying on a rocking chair that would, add to the decoration. The thing is, when people will walk up there and start taking the candy, the scarecrow was him. He would just be, man, he must have been just really patient. He would just sit on the porch, just lying there motionless, and they'd come up, start taking the candy, then he would just get up. So yeah, that would always scare the hell out of people. That was great. So yeah, I'm a big fan of like just scaring the hell out of people for things that are just harmless, Yeah, scaring the hell out of people in harmless ways, that like, yeah, don't do it to like real old people or people with like a heart condition, but for people who can handle it, there's no real danger, but people think there is. Yeah, I love that stuff. I sort of have to. I can't really do that with my wife because she has anxiety, so I don't. I keep only the tamest of scares for her, but Okay, I should keep moving. Do you find it funny or ironic that you've garnered a cult following? Well, I guess the thing is, I kind of my standards for a cult following are my standards for cult are probably higher than average. So in my opinion, I don't really have a cult. I have a fan base. because I'm not really asking, I'm not really asking people to prove themselves, or go through trials, make like a token sacrifice, send this, show, make an offering that proves your devotion. So I'm happy people show up to watch the videos, and we'll answer odd questions or requests I have. So, I'm not really trying to push that. Being a cult leader isn't one of my aspirations, but as long as there's that kind of energy there, I'll dip into it a little bit. Again, it's like I said into the video. I use it to get maps made out of like 30-year-old games, or you'll see what the or get GUI feedback, or maybe some help, stuff like that, or you'll see with the secret weapon. Maybe this is going to be my call to develop the secret weapon. Basically, that was what that video is going to be, and maybe it will go somewhere, maybe it won't. But that's kind of the extent I'm using it, and I admit it gives me a certain sense of comfort knowing that if things got really bad, you know what? Maybe some people are unconventional enough that they would be cool with just putting me up somewhere. And you see, that's when it might actually start turning into culty territory, because then it's not just me making videos. Then we have an actual compound. So then we can and then we actually do have more cult. So it's not that I necessarily need the cult following, but it's like we're going through a lot of the same sorts of day-to-day obstacles and concerns that regular cults have to worry about. Like, how are we going to feed these people? Where are we putting people up? Let's what do we do if somebody gets hurt? A lot of the day-to-day logistics so even though I wouldn't be trying to run a cult, there's a large overlap between things cults have to deal with, and things that just sustainable communities have to deal with. Like a Venn diagram. There's a decent overlap of activities. So it's they're not the same, but like some things are going to be the same. Like, yeah, again, food, just the practical stuff. So. Okay, I don't know what question we're on yet. Maybe people can give me a number check. Let's see. Well, this is one I didn't really have a great answer for. Since you've been living in Poland for a length of time and you've experienced culture personally, you know what makes someone truly Polish? Well, no, not necessarily. Yeah, well, they were born here and have like all this cultural tendencies, predispositions towards certain food. It's probably the same sort of thing in any in any country or culture. According to you, what should the Polish citizenship test require from a foreigner to prove their Polishness and receive their passport? Well, you know what? I imagine they have a pretty decent test already. I mean, like even now, I don't feel like I'm up to snuff for citizenship. I mean, I feel like I feel like I should be fluent in Polish for starters, in the language, and I imagine it's probably similar to like the naturalization process in the U.S. Have a good understanding of how the government works, maybe some basic history, that sort of thing. So, understanding of like some civic duties, that sort of thing. I mean, I imagine they probably already have a decent test. Like I'm just trying to get what I'm aiming for right now, which is coming up, which I'll be able to qualify to apply for soon, though the pandemic's gonna throw it off, is permanent residence permit. So it's that's different. That's not the same as citizenship. Citizenship's a higher standard, So that's going to take me a long time to get to that. And I don't see any numbers on which question number this is. Okay, so Ross, what is your favorite magic system in terms of lore and function? That's a great question, but I feel like there's a lot of fantasy stuff I'm only so familiar with. I mean, there's a lot I'm not familiar with. Let's see. You were saying damn you ISP. Did the chat cut out? Or did my feed cut out? Here, let me take a look. But no, I see me. Okay. Lost my place and my train of thought. Let me. Okay, there's questions. Oh, whoa, got a little dizzy again. Favorite magic system. Well, with magic, I guess the thing I like is excuse me, just has some punch to it, you know. So I guess stuff that, like, you know, you cast lightning, the guy just lightning hits them, the guy friggin' explodes or something, or just it's almost like a fire hose. You're just kind of just blasting him with it. Yeah, potency. I like potency in my magic. And so that would be it for function, I guess. I'm trying to think of games that have done a good job of it. I guess for lore, I sort of like, this isn't it exactly, but I sort of like how in Gothic, in the original, there's these magic systems. It's almost like they got out of control and they're not sure why, and they're trying to figure it out. And they have this plan that they think is going to blow up the magic barrier, but they're not sure, you know. So I like having lots of unknowns in our magic. Yeah, I like magic that's kind of dangerous. I'm not overly familiar with it, but I know in Warhammer, like the classic Warhammer, the magic is kind of a risk, and it's like the more powerful it gets, the more unstable and dangerous it is. And I remember somebody who played the tabletop telling me, like, from this book, there'd be like these events. There were like the odds against it happening were like 1 in 500. But if you roll that, like it's something that could take like months of in-game time to prepare. Like this ritual, and if it went wrong, it basically would like end the world almost, or just like that's it. Your entire army is dead, and I like having that kind of high stakes to it. Like it's like the better it gets, the riskier it gets. I like that kind of approach to magic. You know, like something that, yeah, I guess from like a gameplay standpoint, I like potent magic, and from a lore standpoint, I like stuff that has like keeps it mysterious. You know, we like the magic isn't all these established systems. It's like we figured out this much. You know, like sky's the limit as to what could happen when we do magic. You know, or it backfires and weird things happen. So. And thank you. Somebody said I'm at question 14. So, yeah, somebody says the miscast system of Warhammer tabletop is fun. Yeah. I like it when things can go awry, you know, and you get really weird, unexpected results. Yeah, you don't want that in the majority of the time, but it adds a little excitement, knowing that possibility is always there. You know, that's one thing I actually like about Poland is when I go into the forest, there's wild boar there. You know, yeah, this isn't related to magic, but the point is, I like it kind of adds a little excitement to it. There's always a chance I could come across a wild boar, and maybe it gets a little close. I mean, I've come across them several times, but we always tend to be kind of respectful of each other's distance, because I don't want the boar charging me, and they kind of want to keep their distance from me. Yeah, I'm going off on a tangent, but like the closest encounter I've had so far was I walked right next to a boar that was in the bushes, and I didn't see it, and it was sleeping. Like I could, because it was lying down, and I could see its face briefly, and it just looked like what, you know, it had that kind of look on its face, and we both, it sort of tore off, and I just kind of jumped back, like, oh, whoa, you know, because I didn't. So, but anyway, I guess the back to the point is I like having just a little bit of risk to things, just to spice things up, and I like that with magic. So. Okay, so this is 15 apparently, and then I'm gonna get picky. I think next time I might have to cut it down to 12 and then before I get picky. Oh yeah, okay. Hello, I was wondering, why don't you use tags on your videos? I was expecting the Sonic video to bring a lot of new viewers with the Cabal and all, but I noticed that you don't have any tags on your description. And then I realized that pretty much all your videos don't have them. Any particular reason why? Well, I used to add more in the past. Well, first, there are a couple, there's not a lot of tags. I think the only tags I have on the Sonic one are Sonic the Hedgehog and video games. So just sort of broad ones. What I heard is that if you add a bunch, like it might just sort of dilute it so you're not really getting the kind of targeted one. So I just kind of wanted to get like the most broad basic categories that people might see the video. But more recently, it would not surprise me if this is a complete lie, but YouTube said that like when you're adding the video, saying the tags just aren't that important anymore. Like they, you can add, they're just real marginally to how they're used. It's mostly AI based now. So I guess I don't have any data on that. If you've looked into it, feel free to my email's rosswscott@gmail.com. Let me know if somebody's asking. I have seen foxes here, but it's always way at a distance. I haven't seen any foxes up close. But I don't know how much of a difference tagging makes. So it's, okay, just watch Mandalore's video on the whole YouTube system. Okay, well, if he talks about the tagging, that'll do it then. So yeah, I guess, I sometimes cut corners on, ironically, are probably the most important parts for getting the most viewers. See, I'm always focused on like, I want the best impression. I want the best impression from the video. Like you watch that and you had a good time, So that's always like my top priority with the videos. And things like, look, like I need to go back and fix some of my thumbnails as it is. Some of them are pretty weak, I know. And that probably makes a much bigger difference on people watching the video in the first place. So, yeah, it's, so I did add tags. There are 2 of them, but maybe I should have added more. But I just assumed YouTube knew what I was talking about when they're talking about their own algorithm for promote. I don't assume YouTube knows what it's talking about but for its own actual code, I just assumed they knew what they were talking about because there didn't seem like an obvious reason to assume that they didn't for that, Okay, so that was question 15. I'm just gonna be picky though and just go through the ones that can either answer quickly or I feel like, oh, this is a good question. I should answer that. I have heard of the game Miasmata. I think it's on my list somewhere. So that they were asking about that. Do you really hate Half-Life 2's story a lot? No, I mean, it's interesting. Oh, actually, reading that leaked version of episode 3, that sounded like it was going to interesting places. The thing is, I am cutting Half-Life 2 no slack on trying to retcon all this stuff about how, oh, these are developed characters. Hey, you knew all these people. Hey, you remember this person, right? You remember that. No, if they wanted to do that, they should have developed these people in Half-Life 1 a little more, So I'm giving them no slack on that. But I guess I get a little tired of Alex in that, but I haven't played Half-Life Alex either. I haven't played the VR game yet, so maybe that changes my view on it. I remember Half-Life 2. I got a little tired of Alex, but let's see. But no, it's interesting. I guess with Half-Life 2, it's less about the story, more about the presentation in some spots. Where Half-Life 2 is more gamey, I think. Where Half-Life 1, I remember when I played it and going through Freeman's mind, it felt like I'm just trying to survive, get out of here, get to the surface, And I like that it felt a little more, it's still a game, obviously, you're picking up ammo and stuff, but it felt a little more organic in Half-Life 1, whereas in Half-Life 2, there's some parts that feel like, yeah, this is a game. We're just trying to shove in our gameplay mechanic here, and again, I love getting lost in game worlds. So the more the game reminds me that it is a game rather than just like, oh, how do I survive this? Then it pulls me out just a tad. So, okay. Another question. Well, great. Oh, Halloween plans this. Yeah, I guess if I have free time, maybe I'll do something for Halloween online, like a streaming event. If people have ideas on what I should do. But I wouldn't count on it. It might get close. I want to. Again, I don't even want to. I don't even want to tell you what my plans are this month because it might backfire. There is definitely stuff coming in the bottom half of the month, and there's Freeman's Mind coming as soon as possible. So. Okay, I'll just rapid fire this one. They're saying you talked about hell jobs before. You mentioned you work at security. What are some other hell jobs you're in? Okay, so security was awful because you just do nothing all day and just stand there, and that really works on you more than you think. First real job, I think it was 15, working at Boy Scout camp as a kitchen steward. The scheduling screwed. I didn't apply as a kitchen steward. You applied for general. See, you thought you might. The idea is I had done some scout stuff earlier that gave me allegedly gave you an edge for trying to get be like a counselor or an assistant counselor for one of the stations or something. But I apparently drew the short straw and I got the kitchen steward job offer instead. I took that. Through some screw up of scheduling, I was literally working 90 hours a week. It was awful. And for what they were paying me, it literally came to about $1 an hour, because it was seasonal contract work for a nonprofit organization, which means they could just do anything with the payment. I mean, I was only 15, but still, it was just grueling. I ended up quitting after a few weeks because I lost sleep. Because I basically was working. Well, you can do the math. It came out to 6 days of the week. I had the bottom half of the day and Saturday off, where you go home and then you expect to be back there by around noon on Sunday. So what's that? Yeah. So I was working about 15 hours a day. I was just in a tent, and get up at 6 a.m. or something, just work till 11 or something around there. Maybe I got up at 5. I don't know. It came to about 15 hours a day. It was horrible. There was a job where I'd set traps for the entomology department for Virginia Tech. It was just some seasonal thing where they needed extra people. That one actually wasn't so bad, except the thing is they were just doing off-trail hiking all over the place, and there was nothing you could do aside from having a full hazmat suit, which wasn't an option anyway, where you're just going to get ticks on you every single day. And I thought ticks, it just sort of works on you psychologically, and I was thinking it's just a matter of time before I get Lyme disease at this rate, because it's just, no matter how you dressed, everything, there were going to be ticks on you by the end of the day. And it just, it wasn't great. I mean, I did kind of like going outdoors a bunch, but you know what? I'm a fan of trails. I like trails, so. What was another? Oh yeah, tech support on the phone, which I talked about in the Carnival one. Again, the worst thing is you never had any downtime. Everything's always to the second. As soon as you're done with one call, bing, bing, there's another one. So, and then that just kind of works on you. Like helping people on the phones, that wasn't so bad, but. And then just being timed to just as fast as possible. Yeah, you can see how good I am at doing things as fast as possible talking here. So, okay, I think that's a good. I have to think about other hell ones. I know there's more. Okay. Do you have any advice for someone in their early 20s? Jeez. I see, everything's changing is the problem. I guess think outside the box. I guess it's like what I said the last time to the guy who was having trouble, was going to be laid off. Just think of ways you can kind of plan for your future, and then if that just gets completely thrown out the window, have some backup plans. So they might get more and more strange and unconventional the farther you go down the list, I guess. And if you have no idea what you want to do, then just then my advice, try your best to get a job, and that will really help you focus on what you'd rather be doing with your life. At least it did for me. But yeah, everything's getting upturned. So, and I'll say this because of personal experience. If you just feel completely unmotivated, not about like what job you want, but just like life in general, there's a chance you might be having depression also, like major depression, in which case you might actually need some medication. So for those of you that affects, medication can make a dramatic difference. I'll say that. So, but that's if you're actually depressed and not just listless. Let's just like, if you're just like, I don't know what I want to do, I'll just whatever. If you're just like that, that's not depression. You know, that's just, you're just kind of drifting through life. That's up to you, you know. And for some reason, I remember a quote from Animal House, the movie, where he says like something like, fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son. Not that I'm knocking people for, not that I'm knocking people for any of that, really. I can understand on all levels. Well, I guess aggressively stupid is bad, unless you're just like, unless you're just. No, actually aggressively stupid's not really helpful for any situation. I was thinking unless you're like a fighter, but no, if you're a fighter, you want to be smart. You want to be smart aggressive. So. Okay, more questions. I'll answer this one quick. What is your opinion on unlimited content in video games? Limited time item unlocks or game modes? Well, if it's limited time, I don't, whatever, you know, because I'm patient. I'm always playing way after the fact anyway. But if it's just like, if it's locked off content, I have mixed feelings, because on one hand, that can make it seem more special, but on the other hand, it's kind of locked off. Well, I think I answered that before. It's like, I want to have, if the game ever shuts down, then I want access to all of that. I want guarantees that none of this stuff goes away forever. I think that's the best way. Because I was thinking with MMOs, they could be kind of fun to have like holiday events. Actually, even now with, even if it was in October, one of the games I had to cut for the follow-up was Need for Speed World, because there's a working emulator for it. And man, I 100% want to turn on Halloween mode for that. It has a Halloween mode for Need for Speed World. Like, oh yeah, I want to see that. So I would want to see that even if it was in March. I might just prefer that as the normal for me. But yeah, if people want to have a Christmas mode or something like that, you know, yeah, I think that's the best. I'm okay with it as long as it's never taken away permanently. You know, they're given end-of-life guarantees. That's the best way to look at it. This one was, I didn't have an easy answer for this. I think I may have mentioned this. Asking, how do you feel about choice-based games like Mass Effect series and Telltale games? I mean, it's the sort of thing where I haven't seen the best version of that, because the best version would be a game. See, it's that pyramid scheme thing again, where you start off, you have the similar experience, and then you branches a little bit, and then it branches more and more and more. The thing is, the more and more you branch, the best game that did something like this would just have completely different outcomes by the end of it than the other one. So like you're in completely different areas. Like you have totally different characters, different series of events. Like, but the thing is, that's a lot more work for the developer. So I can understand why they don't do that. See, that Mass Effect and Telltale, they try to have it both ways, and it still feels like it doesn't diverge that much. You're still fighting the same boss by the end. You're maybe a character or two got killed off. The plot generally flows the same way. Like there's still the same major plot points. Whereas I want to see one that just, okay, if you take this path, then you end up fighting the plant monsters on the jungle planet, and then you have to restore like the hidden temple, and then you win the game that way. Or if you took this way, well, now you're going to the desert planet, and with the sandworms, and then you become the leader of this new faction, which is starting a war. You're like a Dune experience. So it's like I want ones where there's just nothing connected to by the end to the other ones. So I want ones like that. Okay, yeah, that went longer than I thought. Okay, answer this one quick. Okay, I'll go short on details for time here. In your fun-filled Begathon video, you said that the way YouTube is going right now, you think you'll be making half the 15,000 to 20,000 amount that you said you were making previously in about a year. Why do you think that YouTube income would decrease, and did that actually happen? 100% that happened. It's gone up a little since then because my channel has gone bigger. As for why, I think it's partially the algorithm. Plus, I thought it was more competition too, because I was lucky that I was around like pretty early on YouTube. Whereas, if you're an ad maker, well, you kind of want to gravitate towards the bigger stuff, and maybe these smaller ads they're just not worth it. Although it seems like it would work that way proportionally, though. I don't know how the math works out on that, but I just thought there was going to be more competition. Plus, I tend to be cynical, and I just had seen my pay cut multiple times. I just assumed this is going to keep. I was honestly just taking. Part of that was just me taking a Murphy's Law approach, that assuming just this is just bad things are going to continue to happen as far as monetization, and just not even question why. Just I had some theories and I could see the trends, but just assume it. I'd seen so much of it already. Just why get my hopes up, Okay, next question. Do you think in the future we'll have a lot of literature about this period in time, much about like the world wars? Well, maybe. I think we're kind of closer towards like the pre-World War kind of literature time period. So some of that stuff got kind of buried, really. So like like I guess like after like the start of the Great Depression kind of era. And so there's plenty on the Great Depression, but that doesn't have nearly the coverage like World War II does, Okay, next question. Yeah, we're getting the rapid fire ones. So he's asking about, I'm kind of confused about this. In what ways do the characters you've created, like Freeman, influence you back? Any interesting stories where you think you might have acted or thought differently had you not invented said character? I like the idea of Eddie for Freeman's mind. Maybe I'll have to remember him again. Maybe I'll have to call back to. I like the idea of Eddie, like just this, like sort of survivalist guy doing all these shady deals on the side, and just that strikes me as a fun character. That's the only one I can think of offhand. What advice would you give to someone who wants to start a home computer repair shop in a garage as a side job? Okay, I'll do this real quick because I realized I actually did attempt this for like a month in between jobs, and I just decided it wasn't going to pan out. So yeah, maybe you shouldn't follow my advice. What I did was I advertised all over the place locally. Like, well, the internet wasn't as prevalent then. This is like mid-2000s. I did this. So I put up signs on like telephone poles, that sort of thing. I also tried to target, I was in a university town, so I actually tried to target like stuff near dorms. Like if you can get in and put something on a bulletin board, that's even better. So you want to, because there's probably going to be a lot of students who have like a computer problem. Hey, maybe it's around exam time, their computer's dead. Yeah, they might give you a call. I guess other advice, unless you feel confident doing this, I wouldn't stock too much. Like if people, I guess if you're just doing repair and not selling, I wouldn't stock too much because computer prices depreciate so rapidly, and you may find you don't need what you ordered. I mean, have for sure stuff you could do. For sure, you want a general diagnostic computer, or parts for that. So you can just swap in the motherboard, swap in video card, CPU. Maybe a couple different chipsets for CPU if you need to test something. CPUs don't usually go bad too often, though. It's usually more motherboard. But yeah, you want the different sockets for them. I guess if you're just starting this out, honestly, be willing to undercut like everybody. I mean, just see what your local competition is. Just go under them 10% or more. Maybe even more to think. I mean, you don't want to go at a loss, but the thing is, yeah, you might be working at just minimum wage or less. But the thing is, if that's what you need to get, I guess you might want to start off with your prices, then just go down. One thing I did was say no charge if you don't fix the problem, because that made me feel a lot better about myself. Whereas it's like if I'm running just some mystery problem and I just can't fix this, fine, no charge, because then yeah, they might not feel great about it, but it's I guess be willing to do. Yeah, I guess this might have appeal during the pandemic, but be willing to do on-site stuff. I guess you could maybe do it safely with like a mask and gloves. There's only a million sources of information on that. So yeah, consult the medical advice for that. There's nothing special about computer repair that for any other in-house business. So take whatever precautions you need to during the pandemic. Yeah, trying to think of what else. Yeah, just be willing to undercut everybody. No charge if you can't fix the problem. I mean, just general repair stuff you'd want to do. Yeah, I mean, maybe have some freeware applications you might suggest, like maybe something like Malwarebytes. Although Malwarebytes, they're going to nag you with that, I think. So you may not. I mean, I guess do a scan with Malwarebytes, but maybe leave it up to the customer if you want to leave on them. Offer the fast options for less. So in other words, say their system's hosed, and ask them, okay, well, do you want to just save your data and I just reinstall Windows or something and then we're done? Or do you really want me to go in there and see what the problem is, remove the malware? Because that's going to take a lot longer, Oh, yeah, okay, actually, you might want to stock up on hard drives where you could just transfer all their files over to something so you can just feel confident doing system wipes. I'm sure there's a lot of general advice you'd have, but... And you know what? You might still not make it, but it's a competitive business, Okay, I'm skipping some questions. Some of these are already answered. So we're saying, what are your thoughts on fans making a quote clip meme archive of your work? Is it something you generally approve of? I don't disapprove. So yeah, whatever, I'm trying to make more videos. I have so many projects I'm trying to do. So it's like whatever people want to do with my stuff. Well, not literally whatever, but yeah, well, they answered underneath there. Anything fair use is fine. Anything fair use is fine. Okay, more questions. Have you heard of Eve Spectrum, a gaming monitor with built-in integer scaling? And if so, what are your thoughts on that? I hadn't until I saw that question. Then I clicked on it. I think we're finally seeing software solutions emerge for that. Like when I made the birthday video, it was still kind of touch and go, but I think that's one thing on the birthday video that is thankfully not such a big issue. However, I might have to wait longer because I think for NVIDIA, they said that it requires the RTX or the Tensor cores in order to do it, which I think is just bad design, to be honest, or maybe they're just, but I think some people mentioned some software solutions that can handle it fine too, so I'll have to look into that. Yeah, it's weird. I remember really old LCDs had integer scaling. I mean, we're talking like 90s or very early 2000s. Like a few of them had that. So, but I mean, that's nice. You know, it's a feature to sell things on. Yeah, I mean, it's really only for like retro games or pixel art stuff I want that for. For like if I had to play like a 3D game on reduced resolution, actually, I might actually want the something like bicubic or with sharpening or Lanxos or something like that. So it says they fall asleep a lot, so they really listen to what I'm saying. Well, that's okay. This, well, hey, check out the Curse Farms Junk channel then. Do you attend any events at all where one can maybe come by and say hi? Well, in the past, I would have considered that. I'm probably waiting until the pandemic's, we have a vaccine, or else it's been utterly contained, which I don't think that's happening. Yeah, one person answered a question. Would you rather have legs for arms or arms for legs? Well, I guess the arms for legs, you know, that'd be a lot more practical. Though you might get hunted as a freak of nature, though, going out. And that reminds me of a scene in one of the Jackie Chan movies where he's walking around his apartment for like a minute straight just on his hands. Like, let's see. Maybe Jackie Chan aficionados can quote which movie that is. In the Sonic episode, it seemed like you were walking on eggshells when criticizing Sonic to avoid angry emails from crazy fans. Were you sugarcoating it, or is that all just in my head? No, it wasn't that. I mean, if I didn't like something, I'll tell you. It's more that I went into this. Look, that's completely accurate. In that canyon level, Bullet Station, I died 18 times. So what that says to me is I am not good at this game. So once we start. So I'm operating an assumption, you know what? There's a huge Sonic fan base that know every single element of every Sonic game. And I'm going in here and I am just not doing well. So what that says to me is, you know, I shouldn't assume too much about like gameplay or the mechanics. Like I'll point out stuff when I think I might have a point, and I'll just point out like just my raw experience of this, because they get to see the layman's approach to this. But I don't want to assume too much. So that's kind of what it was. I would probably take the same approach to any given game. But I mean, stuff that I'm much more confident about, like that jungle level. Like I hated that music. Yeah, I'll just tell you, I hate it. I thought that portion, with the rain filter, that's real ugly. I thought that splashing filter, that's just ugly. You know. So I mean, I'm not trying to hold back. I'm not trying to pull punches, but I wanted to. I was more aware. There's plenty I don't know about this game, you know. So whereas if it's a real obscure one, I'm a little more confident making assumptions about it because I'm as good an authority on it as anyone because there's nobody there to talk about it. So okay, Rumble in the Bronx apparently was the one. Yeah, that one has Rumble in the Bronx has one scene. There's a lot of good scenes. There's one scene I remember. He fights with an aluminum stepladder, and that scene's fantastic. And there's also a scene where this gang got in big trouble with another one, and they I think they feed this guy into a wood chipper and then throw him in a bag to send back to the other gang, and the gang, and then they're having like this dramatic moment later where the gang's saying, sometimes we go. It's like sometimes we go too far, and then the messenger of the other gang, they step back, carrying back the chipped up body of the guy. And he's just screaming like, ah! Like, I was thinking, I think we did go too far this time. If this is what the rival gang is doing to us. It's been a long time since I saw that, but I remember that scene. That just cracked me up. Like, sometimes we go too far. And then, ah! Like right now. Okay, what cheeses do you like? So they'd be very disappointed. Okay, I don't know the name. I mean, I'm pretty open-minded on cheese. I'm not really a connoisseur, but like cheddar, mozzarella. What? Since there's probably, I don't even know the English name of it. In Poland, there's one called Adamski, which I like. Uh, for like Italian food, I like Parmesan and Romano. Adding it to that. Yeah, just sort of general cheeses. Oh yeah, there's that laughing cow cheese in America. I forgot the name of that. That one's okay. I like cheeses. Let's see. This one kind of needed more points. Okay, I'll answer it quick. If you were given a time machine computer that had access to the internet, but 5 years in the future, what would be the first thing you would look up? Well, okay, I guess. Well, I mean, it's a shallow answer, but I'd probably be like in Primer and like look up stock market or major. Just try to get major economic. Basically, information that if I have this information 5 years in the past, I'll be able to just be set for life financially, because I know what's happening and that. But okay, let's say I'm not doing that. Yeah. Let's say I can't change the timeline. This is just for my own like knowledge benefit. It'd probably just be simple stuff like how sometimes there's like year in review articles. I'd probably start looking that up and and just go by year, and that'll probably cover all the big stuff. I'd probably be interested in like maybe I guess gaming technology or computer technology would probably be like the next one. Like I'd be curious like what advancements happened in like video cards or GPUs or VR. Yeah, but yeah, things could be. Yeah, I'd probably just not very exciting answer. Just probably year in review stuff. Well, somebody's saying lottery tickets. I don't know if there'd be an archive of that, but there might be. But yeah, if you can see general news 5 years in the future, you can make a lot of money. I mean, just many ways. Like stocks would probably be easiest because you could look at the entire stock history. Yeah. Okay. More questions. I didn't have a great answer to this. They're asking they work constantly and they don't plan on changing their habits. So how do I continue to work when I'm dead tired like you? Well, if you don't plan on changing your habits, I'd say that it leaves you only one option. Well, two options. One, if you're working towards a goal and then once you hit that goal, then the relentless work stops or gets cut back. Well, then maybe you can kind of keep that in your mind to kind of give you the extra motivation you need to get there. But if it's just an ongoing thing, like you're just a workaholic, I mean, but you want to keep going and you're dead tired, I guess caffeine's your only real thing there. But I mean, I try to see. I'm trying to get away from that. Like I don't. I'm not. I am not a workaholic. I find that a workaholic lifestyle sometimes is the only way to meet the goals I'm trying to hit. That's the difference. I'd love to take a more relaxed pace. Okay. Well, this question got answered. If you were the god of something utterly mundane and tiny, other things insignificant, what would you be the god of? Weird luck aura. Yeah, god of weird luck. So these are yeah, like the improbability drive in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like things that just have really small odds of happening, but they happen and they're strange. They're not just like the luckiest thing ever or the most unfortunate thing. They're just like, oh, well now there's a flock of penguins just going down the street. Like what? Stuff like that. Or I think that would be my domain there. Well, I think there's already an answer to this. They're asking about, for the uncanny valley effect, why would our ancestors have to develop the need to differentiate between humans and kind of looks like humans, but not quite? Well, the answer I've always heard is because it's just like a natural aversion to death, like a dead body, like their face is just completely still and looks off, and that bodies have diseases, and Well, somebody's saying Neanderthals. No, I don't think it'd be Neanderthals because we can relate to human-like things, things that act human or natural. Plus, I think it's something like almost everybody has like between like 1% and 4% Neanderthal genes in them. Maybe it's not as high as 4%. So, I mean, early humans interbred with Neanderthals in a way that's the bloodline that survived. So, I mean, we have an affinity towards like, cartoon characters or talking animals or, or cavemen like looking things. So or just regular animals, I mean, what, people don't like how dogs and cats look, or monkeys, gorillas, they can still be charming sometimes. I mean, so I think the explanation is it's like, there are lots of reasons not to hang around a dead body. Okay. The recommended Sonic GT is a fan game. Yeah, I'm not really. I knew about Knuckles Mania. I don't know most of the fan games. Sonic Utopia, I saw something that just looked sort of like it just sort of looked like a tech demo from what I saw. If I'm thinking of the same thing, where you just run around, look cool, but you didn't have all the different zones, all the music. I still like the. I like the kind of over the top, corny plot. Like I said, I like how angry Robotnik was getting at Sonic, or just the marriage thing surprised me. Yeah, with Amy. Well, I'd say it surprised me. It surprised, like I said, Game Dungeon are reenactments. That's how I felt when I first played it. So that was a while back, early 2000s. But I remember thinking like, wow. And then like, she wants to just straight up marry him. Okay, this is interesting, like, and now we're having a team fight over this. Okay, the story is more interesting than I gave it credit for. Okay, it's talking about tech I'm considering for the movie. Check past video chats. This is too down. This is too low down on the questions here. Yeah, I still don't know what the mystery music was. They're talking about the one where it had the lyrics, "Wake up, wake up, wake up, tilt your head back for the full effect, come on." And then like the only other lyric I remember was like Jones in like a hyperactive child in a candy shop. Like they're singing it flat like that. And I want to say the music did something like or maybe I'm mixing up a song with that part. So sorry, those are from the mp3.com days. So this probably, when was mp3.com coming into full play? I want to say 99, 2000, 2001, somewhere around there. So it's probably from that era. Certainly not later. Oh yeah. Well, this reminded me of another. So I was saying it's Brave Dave's Big Fat Freight Hop, giving you new appreciation for civil protection on a rail. I hadn't really thought of it like that, but that gave me another idea for a game. Since people are asking about game ideas, I was thinking how much I kind of like that experience of like the Brave Dave's Big Fat Freight Hop, and I was thinking have something where take the boring parts out. For some people, this would be the boring part, where you're having to basically play a hobo, hitching rides on trains, maybe avoiding transit authorities, and like trying to figure out where you're going to go next, or maybe figure out how you're going to get on the train. But I was thinking, mix that, and then once you're on the train, you can kind of get the whole scenic view of everything, So I guess let people skip that part if they wanted to, because some players that'd be too boring for. I think I would find that interesting though. But here's what I would add to it. I would want to mix this. I would want to mix this where you keep stopping by in maybe like small towns, and when you get out, you have to wait for the next train. So instead of waiting, you get out in town, and I would make each town like sort of like its own little X-Files experience. Where in one town, maybe there is something like some monster in the woods. Another town, there is a cult going on. Maybe the zombies are overrunning another town. So it's like, so each one would be like its own little mystery, and then you have to like kind of run and get back on the train. Like you're kind of killing time for the next train. Each one's like its own little mystery. So yeah, kind of mixing Brave Dave with like X-Files or something like Secret World or something like that. And then the thing is, on the trips in between the towns, you could like be on the lookout for clues of other mysterious activity happening. Like, you know, like you look and you see like some guy standing and just staring at you in the woods, but only if you're like looking carefully. And so there would be like, it would be like full of, it would just be, so yeah, you could let the impatient people skip like the scenic kind of train sim portions where you're just kind of seeing the landscape and taking in the beauty. But you could add like kind of a Where's Waldo element to that for the people who wanted to watch it. And then, and then, yeah, so yeah, you maybe have a Slender Man along the way, or, you know, or just maybe, or you see something blurry over by some shack by a pond, like, did you just witness a murder? Like you know, just have like all these little Easter eggs that you throw in along the way, and then you get to the town, and it's just like more of like an adventure game experience while you're in town waiting for the next train to come. So yeah, I thought of that as a, so that would, it would be like this weird crossover between two things I like a lot. So, okay, more questions. So yeah, you guys are free to steal that idea if you want. But yeah, I figured that would be a good mix. Maybe you could spice up the in-between parts some more. You've spoken so much about how you hate volume balancing. Wondering why not use a compressor? It does weird things to my voice and just sounds off and wrecks my tone. Like if you want a good example of that, go to Curse Farm's Junk, watch the Lazy Game Reviews Cameo, LGR Cameo, it's like a minute, and then go to the official video. I think I linked to it from that description, and then hear what Clint ran a compressor on mine, and it sounds very different. Like, to give you an example, maybe I can simulate it here. It's like, say I'm talking real loud, but it's kind of faint. And I'm talking like this, okay, and then it's talking like this. I mean, yeah, imagine me going back and forth between yeah, so imagine I'm talking back and forth between the mic and then just going back and then going here again. It's not quite like that, but it just creates these weird dynamics, and my voice just reacts to it poorly. So, and sorry if that got too loud. If maybe I can edit that out when I edit the censor beep for the virus. Okay. God, too many questions. Okay, just like, you showed a picture of Dan Haggerty in your Robot Jobs video. This question confused me. No, I didn't. I showed a picture of Dan Haggerty who plays Grizzly Adams in the Begathon video because I was just kind of making a joke about hairy guys. So I just tried to get like ZZ Top, you know, Brian Blessed, and just, he was another good candidate. So I tend to not go out of my way to watch a lot of really bad movies, though, if that was the question. Unless it's like a Mystery Science Theater 3000 experience. Because again, it's like weaving straw in the gold doing that, you know? I'm skipping the question about the most perfect game. It's way too far down the list. We have a recommendation for the game for Submachine Games. Would you consider trying No Man's Sky, especially given its recent update? He's saying the game's really good now. Okay, two things on that. One, I forgot the term for this. Maybe like there's a term for this. I forgot the name of it. I should know it. It's a psychology one, where it's when something starts off bad, so everybody has bad expectations, but then it gets better. So then people start thinking it's better than it actually is. Whereas if you just showed the better version from the start, people might not think it's that great. I think that happened in Diablo 3. Because I remember a bunch of people were saying, oh, now with the expansion, it's so much better. It's so much better. Like with the updates. So they got rid of the... Whereas I never played Diablo 3 until after... I haven't played the expansion, but I played it after the expansion changes came in. So when I played, there was no auction house. They did these other changes, and I thought it was just, well, it's all right, but it didn't wow me that much. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm getting spoiled, but other people are just talking like, no, this is the best thing ever. So I have to wonder if some of that's happening. The other thing, which maybe it is as good as this person's saying, they're obviously a big fan, is I'm finding I really do like goals in games. And the thing is, like, I like being able to beat a game, but not all games. Some games, like again, for a lot of like DayZ clones, my goal is I make it my goal to just explore the whole map. So maybe I'll hopefully run into some cool stuff along the way, but when I've seen the whole map, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm kind of done with the game. Whereas No Man's Sky is procedurally generated. So it's like there's not really a hard goal to hit that I know of. Like, I don't think there's like a story to follow and then there's like a good payoff from that. It's just you kind of wander it until you kind of feel like things are repeating, I guess. So I don't know. I'm going to talk more about procedural generation in a future video. It's coming soon. I had a thought. I just had it and lost it. It was, oh yeah, I played the game Terraria and I enjoyed that. And that's kind of like, wait, no, not Terraria, Starbound, which is kind of a knockoff of Terraria. And the thing is, in Starbound, you can beat the game, and it has a storyline, and you visit these cool planets along the way. I was thinking, great, but you can also go full sandbox on it if you want. I didn't do that. I just kind of did my stuff, explored the planets, like, okay, cool, got to the objective, and checked the next place, and I beat the boss, and I had a good time with it. So, but some people really like that sandbox, like they're hungry for more, and fine, there you go. But I'm not sure No Man's Sky will be a great fit for me anyway. So, okay, gotta go through more questions. I've answered this one before. As a PC gamer, I've never been a console game that looks so good that maybe lament being a PC-only gamer. Yeah, I've mentioned some of that. If people want me to go through that again, it needs more votes next time. Let's see. Food question, which is just making me hungry. Well, movies are better than the books they were based on. I actually checked. There's a top like 30 list of that article on that online. One I can think of though. See, I haven't always read the books of the originals. Well, one that I knew of that I guess I sort of agree with it, even though I think it's almost there's two that I think are just like near ties. Jurassic Park and The Shawshank Redemption. Those are both great books and they're great movies. So, and I guess the movie brings a little bit more to it because you get to actually see it. Okay, somebody's saying, yeah, that's one I can attest to. Well, somebody's saying Stephen King's The Mist. I haven't read The Mist, unfortunately. So I'll have to take their word for it. However, this may upset some Stephen King fans. I think I have to go with The Shining. I've read, because The Shining is just like one of the best horror movies made, in my opinion. So, and then I think they made a mini series that was, yeah, somebody beat me to it. The one I can attest to, I think I would go with Starship Troopers. However, the book does give you more in it, and it gives you some different stuff that's not in the movie. But the thing is, there are just so many clever scenes in the movie, and they it's so clever because they're funnier. They get to the point. They get to the same point, and they're faster. Like I remember, like some I remember are like, you know, when the recruiter's giving them a long speech about the different factions in the book, and on the Colonial Marines, instead of the long speech, we just like, congratulations, son. Like Colonial the Marines made me the man I am today. And then you see him turn and he's like missing both legs. That's just so. And there was another one like when I think it was where it's like, hey Sarge, why do we need to learn this combat training when we can just press a button? And then like in the book it was something like, you know, it's like, well, I forget. It was like a longer answer, and the sergeant ends up telling him, well, if you need more of an answer than that, you're gonna have to talk to somebody else. Or in the movie, it's like, put your hand on that wall. Put your hand on that wall. Boom. Ah! Like, the enemy cannot press a button if you disable his hand. Like, it's just like, we just cut through pages in just like 10 seconds, and it's funnier and clever. So there was stuff like that in Starship Troopers. So it was, yeah. Oh, and the movie has a much heavier satire elements. Yeah, somebody's saying the book wasn't even satire. Yeah, it's hard to say. It didn't have the comedy for sure. Whereas Starship Troopers is a great satire. Yeah, I mean the movie's a great satire. Okay, a few more questions and I'll take live ones. Let's see. Do you think there's going to be a very worst kind of games as a service looming? No, it's already here. Stadia is as bad as it gets with because you have exclusive games that you can only play via streaming. How does it get worse than that? I mean, yeah, they can monetize it more, and I'm sure they can come up with some more tricks like what the Metal Gear Survive did, the pay to save games or have more than one save slot. I'm sure they'll come up with more money grabby stuff, but just as like a format of it, I don't see how it can get worse than that. Streaming only exclusives that can get shut down at any time. So you can't own it, and you have no guarantee of it, and they want you to pay each month. I don't see how it gets any worse than that. Maybe they can surprise me, but the secret weapon could help. Okay. Real quick, who would win Mental's near infinite forces or the multidimensional invaders as the Combine from Half-Life? I guess I need more details my knee-jerk response is saying Mental. I mean, he just has more. I think he has way more forces. Like, I mean, we don't really know. Okay, well, I don't want to talk too much about that because that might come up in Freeman. It's mine. Oh yeah, I wanted to address this one. I really admire your dedication to making contact, but I can see from your Twitter you're always on. How do you recharge from all that? Okay, I think there's only two explanations here. One, either this person's confused, or two, Twitter is reporting me as like on if just like my computer's on or my browser's open or something. Like there's some privacy setting that there's just saying I'm just, so even if I never, like let's say I just get on, use my computer, work on stuff that day, play stuff, I never go to Twitter, it's reporting me as being on Twitter. Like that's the only other explanation, because I don't really use Twitter that much. Like I think I checked my last Twitter post. Well, okay, besides announcing this chat was like from 5 or 6 days ago. So, I mean, like I'll sometimes, I might put about like, I don't know, it depends on what's happening. Like if there's a lot of news that I feel like worth commenting on, I might, or if I'm just announcing a video, then I might have more tweets. Other than that, I don't really, or if there's like free games, I tell people, you have like free to own stuff. I sometimes announce those, but I barely use Twitter beyond that. So like I would estimate my entire Twitter usage over the course of a month comes to less than an hour. So I mean this is like I'm making all the posts, you know. So let me ask Twitter people, is there some like cookie in the browser or just some deep privacy setting where one, does Twitter report me as being on Twitter if just my computer's on? Or two, does it report it as me being on Twitter if just my web browser's open and I have like cache in there? Like, so I haven't gone to twitter.com, but my web browser is open. Like, so I figure that's the only explanation, you know? I mean, so. Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, I realized I have to revise the Mental versus Combine thing for Serious Sam. No, it's Mental because I think in Serious Sam 3, you learn that if Serious Sam hadn't gone back in time, the world is just like blown up. So that's already that's already more firepower coming to the fight than what the Combine brought. They didn't blow up the world. They're trying to colonize it. Whereas Metal's just not holding back. So I haven't played 4. So I don't know how that works with the storyline. Yeah, somebody's saying maybe they're mistaking me for Amazing. Yeah, my wife's Twitter, Amazing Magda. Yeah, it's not Amazing Magdalena. It's Amazing Magda. I mean, Magdalena is her name, but so yeah, if you're getting those two mixed up, oh yeah, I can understand. Like, I check hers every once in a great while, and she has wow, she has a lot in here. So yeah, if you're mixing those two, my Twitter is Accursed Farms, hers is Amazing Magda. So if you're confused, then that clears it up. Oh, 4 is a prequel to 3. Man, they should stop doing prequels. I want a sequel to 2. That sucks. Because, man, for Serious Sam, I wish they. And I didn't get through the questions any faster this time. For Serious Sam, I like it when they got. I feel like 2 is just a little too zany. I feel like maybe scale that back 10, 20, maybe 25%. Make it 25% less zany and then be perfect for my taste. 3 was a little more serious than I like, though the one-liners were on point. The one-liners were great. Okay, I don't know much about the Cyberpunk free-to-play multiplayer stuff. I don't have much of an opinion on that anyway. Will you ever come back to the U.S.? Why or why not? How often? Well, not right now with the pandemic. Mostly no, just because of the cost. Also, my wife's very afraid of flying, so I don't want to have to subject her to that. So it would have to be a really good reason. But yeah, it would just be cost. I mean, plane tickets even before then were not cheap, Did I just, and chat, help me out. I'm spacing out. Did I just say the name of the virus? I need to know if I need to bleep this out twice. So he's asking about YouTube alternatives. That's kind of a wait and see thing. I mean, I remember I put all my videos up on blip.tv for guy with the glasses. Okay, you're saying no, good. And then that died. So, and then I was on Machinima, that died. So I'm kind of not in a rush. I kind of need them to stand the test of time. I plan to check out more Command & Conquer. I haven't played through the series. You tell me about the Soviet bunker joke. I guess it's because I'm in Poland, which used to be occupied by the Soviets. So maybe that's what, that's still reflected in some building architecture. Oh yeah, I thought this wasn't a bad one. How would you improve Steam? I didn't have a lot of opinions on that because actually what I find I'm using a lot more than Steam for my own games now. I mean, I use Steam, but is this program called Launchbox. It's sort of like my own digital library. I don't actually use it to launch games. I just use it to keep track of everything. And so I know what I have on what launcher. And it's formed a lot like the games list where, screenshot, name of a title by genre. However, I thought of 2 things I personally would want on Steam that maybe developers really would not want this, so they'll probably never happen. But maybe there could be a third-party utility for it. So it's saying Launchbox consuming a lot of resources. Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of RAM. But I have over 1,000 screenshots on there, so that's understandable. The 2 things. One, or at least one, maybe I forgot the other one. One, I would like the ability, if I'm logged in, to never see a game brought up towards me again. Okay, so, I figured there's 3 reasons for this. One, let's say I'm just not interested in this game. I don't care about it. I don't need to see another ad for it. I'm fine. I saw it, I mark it, then I never see it. 2, let's say I know this game. I think it's great, But I played it. I don't need to be reminded of this game anymore. Or just, I'm aware of this game's existence. You know, like actually, I would put Serious Sam 4 on the list. I'm looking forward to playing that. Well, actually, no. Okay, I guess a game I own. Because I might want to know if that's on sale. But okay, Steam has the ignore feature. Okay, well maybe it already has that then. And I guess the third reason is, let's say I own the game, but it's not on Steam, it's on GOG. Well then, I don't need to see Steam copies of it. Okay, Steam has the feature to ignore. Okay, no, when you say this, does this mean when like you have that top bar that comes up when you log in, that if it's a new game, like you don't, well here, let me log into Steam right now. I want to see this. I want to see how easy is this. Maybe this is an interface thing. Okay, so maybe I'm just, see this shows you how much I'm using Steam here. I'm mostly just using Steam as a way to get to the games. Okay, well Steam's taking a minute to log in there. Okay, come on. Man, okay, there we go. 1 second. Okay, so I'm clicking on store. I gotta wait for the store to come up. Okay, so I'm seeing Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord. I'm not really that interested in it. So right click on it. I see no options. Okay, so okay, well, I'm not going to do a tech support in the, okay, wait, no, here we go. Oh, no, there it is. There it is. I'm dumb. All right. I'm dumb. I just haven't been using Steam enough. Okay, well, I guess another thing is under that options bar, right next to ignore, maybe this is also there, recommend more games like this. So in other words, just because I'm saying, oh yeah, that's the other thing. Maybe people can tell me this. When you click ignore, does that affect the algorithm? Because again, maybe I do like these games, it's just that I own them or I play them. Or, what? So yeah, I guess that's the other thing. Maybe I don't want to factor that into the algorithm. Like, so maybe ignore and don't or do, okay, there's extra options on the ignore button. Okay, so maybe this already has it. So maybe there's nothing I need to improve on Steam. Well, see, labs, you're kind of going out of your way to check out stuff. I'm just talking about like front page things that you can, or like you're clicking on one game and then they recommend more like it. I want to make sure I never see those recommendations because I want to see the stuff that's more off. So basically give more opportunities to get stuff that's off the beaten path. Okay, the algorithm is based on what you own and how much you played it. Okay, option to ignore a mark is owned on other platforms. Okay, so maybe it's already all there. So yeah, that shows I'm behind on things. Okay. Okay, God, and I lost my place on the question somehow. Okay, well, I'm getting to the end anyway. Oh man, my stomach's growling. I remember I heard that in Metal Gear Solid 3, your stomach can growl and give you away. Okay, I'm afraid I'm having to skip more questions. Well, this one wasn't a bad one. Okay. Do you find that as you get older, life keeps getting stranger, or does it become more predictable? I'd say neither. It's like, actually, I think I do get a better sense of like how things are likely to play out in several different possible paths. However, I think just society in general is becoming less stable. So it's more like it's becoming if you notice patterns more. That's what I would say. And but that's kind of what like the Star Trek video I made, or the follow-up that's talking about how, it's becoming a fog to me. It's like I can see this going this like, one of like 12 different ways, but I don't know which way it's going to be going. So look for clues on that. Whereas seeing stuff like, oh, this is so strange, I could never imagine that, I'd say there's a lot less of that for me personally. But it is just, so you kind of get a better sense of like what humanity's going to do, the range of things that humanity's going to do. But I mean, there's always some surprises, but there's less and less, I'd say, as you get older. However, as for things getting predictable, I mean, I guess what it is, if you think things are predictable, I'd say you're either in a very regimented environment, like, you know, the military, prison, or just like a job that keeps clocking things, or you're more comfortable than you realize. You know, because like if you're saying that, you probably ate yesterday and you're probably expecting to eat today. You probably know where you're going to live. You probably have an expectation where you're going to live in a month. See, in order for things to be predictable, you need pillars of stability like that. Because if things are really unpredictable, yeah, you don't know the answer to any of that. Well, maybe I'll get food today, maybe I won't, you know? So, you know, there's certain comforts that you might just take for granted and not even think about. Whereas if things are really unpredictable, yeah, things are getting rough, you know? I'd say that's what it is. Like, you know, as I'm older, I notice more patterns, but especially now in this, I mean, maybe if it was like in the Middle Ages where like nothing, you have like periods like hundreds of years where not much changed in some regions, yeah, then you could say it's more predictable. But like now, I think if you're saying things are predictable, you're not paying enough attention. But yeah, as you do older, you do notice more patterns. Yeah. Okay. More questions. Somebody's asking if I do the Pacific Crest Trail if I got the chance. I actually had to look that up. I'd say probably not the southern portion because that looks like a lot of Southern California scrubland, which I don't really have any sort of affinity to. I'm not big on arid environments, but yeah, the northern area, like in Washington and Oregon, sure. But that said, I don't really miss backpacking. You know, I like being able to come home, take a shower, you know, watch a movie at the end of the day or something like that. Have a hot meal that takes less effort to cook, you know. I mean, I do like hiking, you know. I like being able to listen to stuff when I hike, but yeah. But I don't really miss camping or backpacking, so yeah, I guess within earshot of civilization is still nice. Or just, yeah, someplace with electricity, I guess, you know. So I was asking how I pick the games. It's just all sorts of variables. But this reminded me of a quote from a movie. Oh, what was the name of the movie? It had Val Kilmer in it. I think it was like, was it Tony Hillerman? Like, it was in, well, people can probably look it up based off of that. It was a mystery that takes place on an Indian reservation. And at one point, I think these state troopers or FBI or somebody are going through there. And then the local sheriff pulls them over and gives them a ticket for speeding. And Val Kilmer, the agent, asked him, like, I was like, can I see the odometer? Can I see the speedometer reading? It was like, oh, I don't have one. I just used the wind to figure out how fast you're going. You're welcome to challenge it in tribal court. And I was thinking, that's kind of how I choose the videos. Just see which way the wind is going, you know. I could relate to that scene, so. Okay. Any chance to review a VR game and Game Dungeon anytime in the future? Nowhere. There's a chance, sure, but no time soon. I'm still on Windows 7. I'm not playing any VR games, really. Thunderheart, yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, it was a good movie, I remember. If you like mysteries, you know, it had some humor to it also. But I remember that scene. Legacy of Kain games are probably not on the radar just because anytime soon, because those would take so much work to do properly. I mean, you saw how much the latest videos got delayed with Sonic spiraled out of control. My original plan was for that to be around a 20-minute video, but then so many, it got emotional when I was playing it. I was just like, oh my God, they're doing this. They're like, look at that. Look at what that game's doing. Like, like with the ramp, I realized that I got sloppy. I saw the problem. I just left it because I didn't want to go back and fix it. I realized when I was talking about the camera changing, that was inaccurate. The camera wasn't the problem. The camera was all right, usually. But what the problem was, my controls in relation to the camera's perspective are what could change on just the snap of the fingers. Where you see me running and then just see me immediately take a 90-degree turn and go over that cliff. I was just holding down forward. Nothing changed on my end. So, in other words, the camera's coming in smooth and like, bam, you're just running into the wall. So that's what it was. It was the controls relative to the camera's perspective are what changed on a dime. VR games, maybe eventually. I'll see. But you'd still be watching it as a 2D video. Okay, these are decent questions, but they're gonna need more points. Okay. Thoughts on the AAA industry pushing for $70 price tag? Well, that'll have no direct impact on me. In fact, I think my high end for game purchases over the past 2 years, I think, has been about $750 per game. Sometimes I'll go higher than that if it's a bundle and it has like multiple games I want, so that the average comes out. The average of the games that I want come out. The low end is probably around $1 to $2.50. So, yeah, my backlog is getting big. However, that could backfire in that it causes all the games to go up in price. However, it's still pretty hyper competitive for games. I mean, that's the sort of thing where it's like, fine, I'm sure it's been covered to death by other YouTubers. There's a real... This always comes... Anytime I see a statement from the industry about this, it sounds like whining to me. Because you know what? Fine. Put your game out at a higher price. See if people buy it. See if that blows up in your face and you lose money because you should have set a lower price to get higher volume. It's like, this is like free market 101 stuff. It's like, don't complain about that you have to do... Just either do it or shut up. That's how I feel about that. I mean, it's like there's a reason it stayed at $60 for AAA games for a long time. It's because they're scared that if they set it higher, they're not the sales. The total sales are going to drop and they'll lose money because they won't make the money. So it's like talking about. That's it. That's the only reason. It's so call their bluff, I mean, I guess if it got to like astronomical level, see, that's the thing. Even these $70 games, or $60 games, how many of them never come down in price? So 5 years later, 10 years later, they never came down in price. I mean, so. It's like, fine, set the game at release day, whatever the hell you want. For all I care. The people who $60 is nothing or 70 is nothing to them, they'll buy it, and then the people, well, I'm probably at the extreme other end of the spectrum, but like the people who maybe they'll buy it at $20, fine, they'll wait. Well, okay, geez, too many good questions. Okay. Somebody was saying, why does it seem that the video game companies are out of touch? Not just customers, but with their own stockholders' interest, if not outright reality. Great question. Because the larger trend, the easy answer is that the game companies are just, like big game companies, they don't care like about the game and how it relates to the customer. And yeah, they'll say that, they'll care a little bit, but they're just moving product. It's like they could be selling pencil erasers, they could be selling dog food, whatever. They just want to make sure that they have a general good impression and that they make money. the money is all that matters. So if it's a subpar game, and it seems like why would they do this? They're not trying to make the best product. They're trying to make the most money. Now that said, I think now we're seeing this just a global scale almost, where it's like, okay, I'd have to check. For sure I saw an article that said the stock market, like the Dow Jones, hit an all-time record high in August. Maybe it did in September too. Oh yeah, so that's the highest it's ever been. So wow, that must mean the economy in August was just fantastic, huh? Like it could not be better, right? Oh no, instead of it's like one of the worst durations we've had since the Great Depression, or we're kind of competing with the Great Depression right now, month per month. So it's like, this is just completely divorced from that. And I think the only reason is, I don't have I have the reason why it's doing so well at the moment, which is like, I think between the bailout bill and the quantitative easing from the Fed and some other stuff I don't understand, I think the total we've put into making sure the stock market stays up is like over $7 trillion. That's a lot of money. So, okay, yeah, that's why it's high. Now, as to why people are just divorced from reality and not realizing that, hey, this kid's probably going to crash really hard and do something really not good, I can't say what. That's more fog of badness territory for me, like from the video. Why they would think that and think things are stable, that I have no idea. You tell me. Feel free to email me on that. rosswscott@gmail.com. I have no idea. Like, to me, this is like a time bomb in my eyes. Like, oh yeah, hey, look, it hasn't. Well, it's like a classic bubble, Oh, look how pretty and big the balloon is, until it just blows up in your face as we keep inflating it. So, I don't know. See, you would think people who make a lot of money and like it's their job to be savvy at business would understand this. I understand people they're just playing the game. Like, yeah, this is a time bomb, but I'm going to make money while it's still going off. Okay, I at least understand the logic. But there's a lot of people who just think, no, things are great. We're going to recover just fine. Everything's stable. There's no fundamental problems with all of this. So all I can figure is that's some of that's bled over into the game industry also. So yeah, you tell me, why do people believe that? I mean, is it just delusion? I mean, I'm not an expert, but I'm seeing a lot of indicators that, as a layman, like, wow, this doesn't strike me as a stable thing. We're going to have to come out with some real mysticism to explain this. Okay. And somebody who's been harassed. Okay, this ties back to the tag question. They're letting me know that they've been harassed by Sonic videos ever since they watched Sonic Heroes. So I guess the algorithm's working at least to some extent. So sorry about that. Yeah. Somebody's asking about AI upscaling of textures in old games. Yeah, that can be really cool. Well, again, I've given some instances of portions where I care about. However, I think that's not the coolest thing that could come from AI. I'll just leave it on that. Have you considered making machinimas in the Doom engine? It's been a long time. I think it didn't quite have the flexibility I wanted, but maybe it's gotten better now. Or I should just lower my standards for what I want to be able to show. Okay, skipping some more questions. Big arguments on a political one. Are you on 10? Not yet. Okay, I mentioned the subtitle stuff. Would you use an OS based on the leaked Windows XP code? Possibly, if it could be updated, but that probably not, though, because you're not going to be able to legally release a highly modified version of XP. So that means that creates more opportunities for like bad faith actors, who are trying to like kind of poison this, and maybe it's not getting the checks from legitimate sources for open source that it should. Okay, I'm about to the end of the questions. So in the chat, put 3 equal signs and then your question. I'll try to get to as many as I can. Sorry, this got cut off short again. I'm reading some of the other ones. Some of these are confusing. Okay, so I'll just go to chat questions. Ross, my teacher for our first seminar wanted us to list 100 people as a networking exercise. I put you on there, so apologies in advance. If she does anything nefarious with your name, it's fine. If she tries to get at you, let me know. I'll run up on her house. Okay. I still, if people have like an educational project, I try to reply to those. I try to give those emails a higher priority. What do you think about Warcraft 2? Have you beaten it? I've beaten it on orcs. I never played it through all the way on humans. I think I watched a playthrough of some of the other levels. Yeah, I mean, I liked the game. It was fun. I mean, some parts, there's some RTS conveniences that make it not age quite as well. So doesn't have to be, it's a little more micromanagey by modern standards. But yeah, it's fun. I mean, yeah, great soundtrack. I love the cinematics in between. In between. Yeah, actually, I forget how it came up, but I was telling Magda the other day about one where the orcs were using the giant turtles as submarines, in Warcraft 2. Okay, not far. Okay, I lost my spot. I did not watch the presidential debates. I just saw some commentary on it. It sounded like it was worth missing. Yeah, I mean, okay, this might come up next month too. As things get more and more into politics, the more I hear about politics, the number one thought that comes to my head is I really want to learn more about the fall of the Roman Empire, because I don't know all the details on that, so I want to start doing some more reading on that. I feel like we're in like a Rome is burning situation. Like, I mean, yeah, you can look at like, because there were lots of it didn't happen all at once, and I feel like a lot of the things that are getting argued about, it's like we're just totally missing like bigger picture stuff, like in a big ways. In that Dead Game News video I did, do we ever figure out what the German word was for that concept I described, where in order to talk about one thing, you have to talk about this thing, but you have to expand outward to talking about this larger dynamic? I have a chart. Yeah, check. I forget which Dead Game News video that is, but maybe people can mention that in the chat, which one I'm talking about. I feel like that applies to so much in politics now. Yeah, I mean, another way to look at it is like a chess game where all we're talking about is like a pawn lost or something like this. Well, wait, what's the larger thing going on? Like, okay, well, yes, losing that pawn's bad. Well, then, and just like clearly by any context, it's bad. But maybe what other events is this? No, that actually gives chess a little. That actually gives it a little too much credit, because sometimes, because that implies that like bad things are leading to good things. No, because that can happen in chess, like with gambits. It's more like these things are bad, but this is like too myopic a bad, as opposed to like a larger scale bad, which isn't even being looked at. So, okay. What are your thoughts on special shoes in VR? Oh yeah, I mentioned that on Twitter, which allow you to walk in game and real life while staying at the same place without any treadmill. I thought it looked like the sort of thing that might break easily, and it was slower. And I think the dome shape, the inverted dome shaped treadmill would probably be more practical, because then you can just go in any direction easily. You don't have to have much space. I mean, you still need some space for the shoes, and it actually struck me as like sort of an over-engineered invention. Like I was thinking of World of Warcraft. Like, this is something the gnomes would come up with, like the I mean, they're probably expensive now, but I imagine if they could get more widely produced, I would think the cost actually of just having the dome-shaped treadmill might be lower too, because that wouldn't need any moving parts. You just need sensors inside the dome to detect your movement, and then you could just walk in special shoes or your socks or something. And I mean, I haven't tried any of these, but just in concept, that's where I would bet on being the best solution for locomotion in VR. Who is your favorite source filmmaker, content creator? I'm so far behind. Well, yeah, the Detective Nickbone had some good stuff. The Shelf Life creator, who I forgot the name, that was really good. The Shelf Life one. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. I'm trying to think of like the funniest or most. Man, if I haven't kept up with Gorilla Gong at all. Whatever the favorites are, put it like this: I had a hand in some of the favorites on that list. So yeah, check that for sure on Gorilla Gong if it's up, and if it's not, I'll try to get an archive up. Summon the Source for 1 and 2 isn't on your games list. Are you still planning to try them out? Yeah, eventually. I thought that might be too well known, but maybe I should put them on there. What other... Oh, this is probably a better question for next time because I'd have to think about what April Fool's prank from another content creator did you most wish was real? Well, I mean, I'm thinking of like companies or like for the main ones. For content creators, I'm not sure. I'd have to catch up. Yeah, actually, if you want to send me like a good like kind of YouTuber April Fools that you think, especially for like gaming stuff, if you want to make like a compilation, you can email me that if you want. The one I'd most wish was real. Well, I admit I like that Razer had a pretty good one year where they had a hover mouse that it just it's like a hoverboard. It hover. Although that would just be more cool in concept. That actually wouldn't change much for me. Although having that technology would turn society upside down, I think. But what was another good one? That I most wished was real. Well, Blizzard literally, it's not one I most wished was real, but Blizzard literally made one real where they were going to add the Panda class to World of Warcraft. And yeah, they just did it. That's kind of where they lost me, to be honest. But I felt like that was better as April Fool's material. I'd have to think about it. This isn't a good one when I'm losing oxygen to my brain on the fly. Let's see. Well, I don't like to give away what the next game dungeons are. Usually, I mean, I'll give hints. I feel like if I give too many hints on that, well, it's getting stalled. Probably during November is what's happening in the next one. Why did the thumbnail change for the Games as a Service as fraud video? I felt like it just wasn't I feel like I got more serious. It wasn't conveying the right tone. Like sometimes I like to do kind of like a dark comedy approach to it, but I thought it might, considering the volume of views it got and how I was going to keep referencing that, I didn't want people to get the impression that this is going to be nothing but like a fun video. You know, it's like, no, it got, so I just kind of changed it more to how I felt about it. So I changed my face on it. Have you seen Primal? Sounds familiar. I guess not. Is that a movie? I guess not. Do you have a favorite ancient Greek philosopher? A favorite philosopher in general? Have you read a little bit? I need to, I could use a refresher. I've forgotten a lot. I guess I probably, for worldview, I probably relate most to Sartre. For, you know, like there is no meaning. You have to make it for yourself. Let's see. Have any first impressions of the PlayStation 5 design? Well, it looks spiffy, but I mean, Look like what people are saying, like a portal turret. I mean, if we're talking about how it looks, I'm wondering what's going to happen though with file sizes. I hope this doesn't become the gateway to streaming only, because, I mean, they're getting huge. Yeah, they announced Modern Warfare is now over 250 gigabytes. Well, these SSDs, they're not going to be enormous. I mean, how many games are they going to be able to hold as time goes on? So, I mean, textures aren't getting any smaller. Oh, thanks for wishing me a happy anniversary. Thanks. That's in 2 days. Yeah, we're going to try and watch Bill and Ted for that. But at home, though, not... Because we both want to see that, the new one. Well, I'm a big fan of the original. Do you think we're behind on space travel colonization tech? No, because we have so many problems we have to solve, like just on Earth first, to have things more stable. Plus, there are really hard physics barriers to get farther. So it starts becoming an allocation of resources question. And I think we have way more priorities to be devoting technology to at home. You remember good old times when the worst you hear on the news was the stolen jets into the buildings? Well, this is going kind of dark territory. Okay, yeah, here, I'll say this. I literally cut a joke from the next Freeman's Mind because I thought people are going to think this is a 9/11 reference, and it's not. And I'm thinking, you know what? I don't want the joke wasn't that great. So that's how I feel about it. I mean, we're just kind of, I want to say even back then, I thought our system wasn't very stable. So, and there was still plenty of bad stuff going on back then, but just the proportions weren't as high or as noticeable of the first world countries. Do you still play Diablo 1 every Halloween? No, I finally got sort of my fill of Diablo 1, though I am going to mention that in one of the videos. What will you come up with next? I don't know what I'm doing next year. Besides the movie. I'll be working on the movie next year. What do you think? Trend of meta-narratives in games. I didn't know Superhot had a meta-narrative. Spec Ops, among others, seem to make moral judgments on the player's participation, whether that be from the joy they get from the game or the time they invest. Do you find this interesting or pretentious? I find the concept interesting. I haven't really... Well, I mean, I don't know if Spec Ops really did that based on your decisions. I mean, Spec Ops, it was a linear game. I mean, you have to do something bad in the game in order to progress. So, I mean, I'm cool if a game wants to tackle a more serious... Yeah, it's a hard line to balance on, because on one hand, I'm fine if a game wants to tackle more serious topics, but I almost felt like doing a video on Spec Ops Line. But on the other hand, like, you kind of gotta keep it up. And the thing is, fine, Spec Ops The Lines covers some serious issues, but then there's other areas where you're just mowing down guys by the dozens, like just with a turret gun while they're all just running towards you and they're playing rock music. And it's like, well, this is more like Rambo territory. I mean, like are we making just a fun kind of tactical shooter, or just spray all the enemies and the soldiers coming out? Or are we trying to have like more serious commentary? I guess for me personally, I feel like you need to stay serious the whole way through if you're doing, or just have comedy that appears in reality. You know, like during the downtime, in between missions, soldiers are telling funny jokes that they might tell like actually in the field. That's right. So you can have some comedy, but keep the comedy true to life too. But if you're just trying to mix the two, it comes across as like, again, maybe sophomoric is the right word. Because then you'll have people saying, oh, you're not taking this seriously when it has all these serious issues. But then it's like, well, then why are you doing all this crap too? You know, and I feel like Spec Ops The Line, for all intents and purposes, it is your one man army, occasionally squad help game. You know, it's just like, I'm gunning down everybody. It's just a little more tactical. Or if it was like Arma gameplay and then you had like a really serious conversation, yeah, that might be a pretty powerful game. You know, again, I'm not familiar with, I mean, I know what Superhot is. I'm not familiar with like the meta narrative. I guess with the judgments, I was actually, okay, I'm kind of cool with a game reacting to your decisions. Like I noticed that in Silent Hill 2, where the way you played the game determined what ending you got. I thought that was great. And it's funny because both Craig and his friend who does voice acting and Soul Protection sometimes, we each got a different ending. Like, see, I was keeping my character on I had played Resident Evil where, you know, you're supposed to really like ration your supplies. So I was keeping my character on the brink of death, like most of the game. And then apparently you're not supposed to look at this photo. And I kept looking at that because I thought it was like part of a puzzle. It's like, is this it? No. So I basically did everything to ensure I got this one ending. And then Craig played it super cautiously. And then like he got a different ending. And then our other friend must have been like guarding the woman a lot more. So it was all, or I was just treating them like an NPC. So I like stuff like that. I was really disappointed BioShock didn't do that because they give you a million warnings in that game that, oh, these biomods are gonna change you and like make you crazy or something. I thought that, well, wouldn't it make sense to get a different ending the more you use the what do they call them? Plasmids or did he skip mine? No, I haven't gotten. Or maybe. No, I didn't skip yours. I've got 2 years. Yeah, maybe that would change the ending. So, I mean, like, because you've become corrupted in your pursuit of power, you know? I mean, they did a little bit, but then you're still using these. After the game is telling you in the story, don't use these. It makes you crazy. And then you have no choice but to install some of them. So, I thought that was kind of weak. Okay, so more questions. Can you name a few must-read books? You posted on Twitter for not coming. Well, I don't have any must-read. I'm reading one right now somebody recommended to me after the follow-up called The Accidental Superpower. It's nonfiction. It's basically making an argument that just geography of like the layout of the land determines an incredible amount of how a civilization is likely to unfold. And like what, like the poverty rates, like what kind of government they're likely to have, like what conflicts that are likely to emerge. I think it's compelling, but he makes a lot of conclusions about the future. I think he might be a little narrow-minded on this. I haven't finished it yet. It's a long book. I think he might be a little narrow-minded on like all the factors that come into play for predicting everything. For sure, he has a point. It's just that I'm not sure this is the only point, is the impression I'm getting from it. Because he's kind of predicting the future the way someone who had read a lot of 1800s history and would like really like the game Risk might predict it. So there's some of that, but there's other factors too. I mean, okay, a few more questions. Oh yeah, and I forgot this. For movies, I saw The Platform which is this kind of sci-fi prison movie. It gets kind of dark. It's a sort of a parable for economic inequality, but it's if you like the movie Cube, it's a lot like that. And so you should definitely check it out if you like the movie Cube. I started watching again. I remembered somebody from Australia emailed me, and that for whatever reason that got me thinking about the movie Young Einstein again. So I started watching that, but it's been forever since I've watched it. That's probably my favorite historically inaccurate movie. Like, uh, let's see, what's another movie I saw? I forgot to make notes. I've been working a lot, so. I started playing some of Daymare 1998. It's like a Resident Evil knockoff. It's okay so far. I started playing some of Overlord. Overload. I've played Overlord. Overload, it's like a Descent clone. It's pretty good, but if you like Descent, play Overload. It's that simple. Okay, let's see. Despite being completely impractical, do you like or have an affinity for airships? Absolutely. Just by coincidence, I was kind of looking up like last week. I was like, hey, why don't we have Zeppelins anymore? Zeppelins looked awesome. I mean, yeah, okay, we had the Hindenburg, so hydrogen Zeppelins, I understand that, but but apparently they're still really costly and inefficient. So, but they look so cool. I mean, I was looking at like photos of like the 1930s, and there's like Zeppelins above New York City. I was like, yeah, that looks awesome. So. Still catching up on questions. Who do you consider as your competition on YouTube? Well, I guess just people making similar videos. Like, what people have been mentioning, like Mandalore and Civi 11. Let's see, some other. I guess it's stuff that like they're bringing stuff similar stuff to the table as I am, But I'd like to get back to making like original. Well, hey, the movie will help redeem myself. I think. I'm pretty sure they're not working at something like the movie. I mean, I say my competition. It's like I'm not. There's enough views for both of us to survive. I have no ill will towards any of them. In fact, I might steal a clip from Civies that I know of. Probably need to catch up on Mandalore. What do you think about Ubisoft milking Assassin's Creed? Well, that's what they do, I wish they'd come up with the educate. I wish they'd go back and just take the existing assets and make the educational modes for the previous ones. Because I'm really there's some periods I'm really interested in, and I'd love a way to just kind of wander around there without having to go through all the stealth stuff. I mean, they've done the hard part, we have the tens of millions of dollars of assets and animations and stuff. We basically need to add in the history and a voiceover and mod it so that you can just walk around. And I mean, just do that, but you can sit. That's still a lot of work, but that has. I imagine if you looked at the work breakdown, that's probably like 2% compared to making the entire rest of the game. Yeah, make one for assess. I want colonial America and the French and Indian War and French Revolution stuff. Well, I talk about what I plan for Halloween. I'll be lucky if I can just watch the movies. What I really want is to just not be working around the clock on Halloween. Which Castlevania games have you played? I played some. I haven't beat it. I played some of the original. I've beaten Symphony of Night, Order of Ecclesia, Circle of the Moon, I think. I think it's the first Game Boy Advance one. I might be mixing the titles up. I need to play. What is it? Bloodline. Yeah, I think Bloodlines is the Genesis one. Maybe the one that comes before Symphony of the Night. It's like Dracula X, Rondo of Blood, I think. I tried playing some of Lords of Darkness, the 3D one. I gave up on it. I mean, as the visuals were just 2 thumbs up. You know, I mean, they got the aesthetics down great. I mean, the music, I was not impressed by the music, but the visuals, I mean, just the art direction, fantastic. But the gameplay wasn't really my thing, and I don't know, but okay, trying to catch up on questions. Can you tell us the animation type of the movie? Yeah, it'll be 3D machinima. I'll probably be aiming for, it's probably a style you don't see a lot. It'll probably be best in-game cutscenes you can get from like mid-2000s level. Like kind of 2004, 2005 in-game, not I'd say the closest modern analogy to it would be something like what World of Warcraft does with their non-ray traced cinematics, you know, the sort of in-game model stuff. It might be in that, but it won't be as cartoonish. It'll be kind of like dated realistic, you know. That's my way to avoid. It's not a style you see very much. Okay, I think I've caught up. All right, I'm gonna go eat. Thanks for showing up. Freeman's Mind coming as soon as I get the sound effects, even though I don't blame him for that. And then plenty coming for Halloween. I'll just say that. Okay, I'm going.